Gentlemen and reclaimers, welcome into the show. Today, the Council of Correct People and Full Humans has reached a verdict. They have decided. They have answered. No more questions are necessary. You are too feminine. You are not man enough for the world. All of the problems happening are because of this. And so, it is your problem to fix. Do not ask questions. Do not consider if there are other problems. There are no other problems. There are no other answers. So, what do we think about this, guys? How are we feeling about this particular arrangement? I would imagine some of us probably not that great. But the reason I bring this up is because this is a idea that's been making the rounds recently. Yeah, clearly all my problems in life stem from being 3 inches below average height. Clearly, yeah. Yes, I too am excited to once again learn how everything is my fault. Not as though I choose to care what they have to say anymore. Well, I find it interesting what they have to say. So, let's look at some stuff that's been making the rounds again more recently. I like your rapper chain. Did you sign a record deal? Okay, good to see you. Good to see you too, man. I've wanted a chain for a while. My wife got me a little gift, so I'm sporting it. Yeah. Welcome in, guys. So, today, we start here. Let's see. Oh, no. Here it is. Okay. So, this is a PragerU video from a while ago. This is from like 7 years ago, but it's an idea that has been sticking with us for a while. Now, this is a video by Allie Beth Stuckey, who is... Some might call her conservative, some might call her feminist light, but this is her take on what the world is doing with masculinity. Oh dear, PragerU videos are very hit and miss. Yeah, and we're about to probably see some of both in the same video. Let's take a look. If we can get it to play.
Rape, murder, war. They all have one thing in common.
It's an aggressive beginning.
Aggression, violence, ambition unchecked by conscience, all the stuff of toxic masculinity, right? And the solution is obvious. Make men less toxic. Make men less masculine. Make men more like women.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you that that way of thinking is not only wrong, it's dangerous. Here's why. When you try to make men more like women, you don't get less toxic masculinity. You get more.
Yeah.
Why? Because bad men don't become good when they stop being men.
Also, you double the amount of toxic masculinity because you don't get rid of it. You just shift it over to the women. And yeah, the guys, it turns out, don't actually become nicer. They get worse in many ways.
They become good when they stop being bad. Aggression, violence.
Oh my God, they become good when they stop being bad. Right, yes. Water becomes wet when it comes in contact with water.
Violence and unbridled ambition can't be eliminated from the male psyche. They can only be harnessed. And when they are harnessed, they are tools for good, not for harm. The same masculine traits that bring destruction also defeat tyranny. The traits that foster greed also build economies. The traits that drive men to take foolish risks also drive men to take heroic risks. The answer to toxic masculinity isn't less masculinity. It's better masculinity. And we know what that looks like. It's a young man opening the door for a girl on their first date.
Okay, this is what I was afraid of. This is what I was afraid of. So, up until this point, I think she's had pretty much the right idea. Yes, there's a bad version of masculinity. There are bad things that can be done with it. It's strength. It is that conviction It's being disagreeable when necessary. So technically she's on the right path. Masculinity it's a neutral. It depends on how it's applied. It can destroy and it can build. If you don't have it, kind of nothing happens in either direction. So yeah, you do need good, healthy masculinity to build things. But this is where we fall off the wagon. Opening the door for a girl on the first date is masculinity. This is what I was worried about. It's not so much that we have the wrong idea about whether we should be masculine or not. It's a misunderstanding of what masculinity is. What does it mean? What does it look like in practice? This is not it. Girls don't care. This does not matter. This is not going to build a society. Opening the door is not going to it's not going to fight off an enemy. What does it do? It just makes women's life a little bit more comfortable, I guess. Yeah, that's gentlemanly. It has nothing to do with masculinity. Exactly.
It's a father working long hours to...
Yeah, and then we get to chivalry again, which has been reduced down to how it serves women. Yeah, it's a father working long hours to provide for his family. His wife primarily. But yeah, everything about masculinity has been reduced down to just what other people get from men.
Provide for his family. It's a soldier risking his life to defend his country.
Sure.
The growing problem in today's society isn't that men are too masculine. It's that they're not masculine enough.
Right, but by this definition, the way we're reading it is, the problem with society isn't that men are giving too much. It's that they're not giving enough. They're not giving us enough. We're not receiving enough from men. They're not comforting us enough. They're not taking the harsh edges off of life enough for us. They're not making our lives easy. Yeah, opening the door mattered in another time. Yeah, exactly. They're not going to work and generating enough resources. They're not going out and sacrificing their body to protect the rest of society enough. We're not getting enough from you. Masculinity is what we get from you. It has nothing to do with who you are. Yeah, be masculine equals serve a purpose for someone else's benefit. Yeah. That it sounds like we're describing the wrong thing. Because what we're actually describing is selfless love and giving. Right? Those are not bad things. I'm not saying that it's a wrong or bad thing for men to give, right? It is a better thing to give than to receive, as Jesus said it. So it's not as if it's bad for men to do that stuff, but that if you equate that with masculinity, you're messing with the underlying physics of how people work and how relationships work, how societies work. If you want love, if you want selfless giving and sacrifice all the time, call it that. Don't call it masculinity. Masculinity, as we'll look at some other stuff that gets into what masculinity actually is, but it's not just giving. There's spoilers. Yeah, by the way, these can vote. Yeah, spoilers for where we're going later. Masculinity isn't just about what you give. It's about how you command. You'll notice that was one thing missing from her definition, was how does he lead? How does he command? That's a part of it too. It's not just about giving. It's about using your strength to lead others. But we don't want to talk about that because that would infringe on other people's power. In particular, that would infringe on women's power, which is why she doesn't mention leadership. Hey, maybe I'm not giving her enough benefit of the doubt. Maybe she gets into it later on. Yeah.
When men embrace their masculinity in a way that is healthy and productive, they are leaders, warriors, and heroes.
Yeah, healthy and productive for who?
When they deny their masculinity,
The
they
power
run
idol
away
again.
from
It's everywhere, bud.
responsibilities, leaving destruction and...
Yeah, they run away from their responsibilities to give to me, to provide for me, to shelter me, to protect me. You ran away. That's what masculinity is being a shield and a source of resources for me. It has nothing to do with you leading me, right? So again, to be extra clear, I'm not saying that this is an entirely incorrect thing to say. It's just woefully incomplete. You're missing one of the biggest pieces to it. That's the most important. That's one of the most important things.
Despair in their wake. The consequences can be seen everywhere. 1 in 4 fathers now lives apart from his children. And children who grew up without a dad are generally more depressed than their peers who have a mother and a father.
Okay, this is
They
true.
are at far greater risk for incarceration,
True.
teen pregnancy, and poverty. 71% of high school dropouts are fatherless. Of all the rocks upon which we build our lives, family is the most important. And we are called to recognize and honor how critical every father is to that foundation.
Yeah, you talk a big game about what men are to give to their families, but you don't talk about how they lead their families.
That was said by Vince.
Oh, and another thing, accountability. The father is entrusted with the care of not just human beings' physical lives, like your wife and your kids. He's entrusted with their souls. And part of caring for those souls is protecting them from their own sinful flesh, holding them accountable. Right? So in enacting discipline in his household, that's masculine. It's not just the outward dangers and scarcity that the man protects you from, it's the dangers within their own household. Where's that in this definition? When it comes to masculinity, it comes to this question: do you have authority other than having headship? Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you have to have actual authority to be able to lead your house. Where is that? Look, guys will crawl over broken glass to give to women, provide for women, to take care of women, to shield them from danger, provided that it's worth it, provided that those women respect them and follow their leadership. But we don't want to talk about that part, do we?
Senator
Why
Barack
not?
Obama in 2008. If we are honest with ourselves, he went on, we'll admit that too many fathers are missing from too many lives and too many homes.
Late to the show, the title is facetious, right? Yes, 100%, or a little bit of sarcasm. I'm worried that I may have kneecapped myself in terms of views because I'm not sure how many people realize that it was sarcasm. They might be thinking I'm serious and they might not come on in. But hopefully, look, maybe what we're doing is we're culling the herd. We're filtering for IQ. That's what we're doing.
Much as we try to deny the need for real masculine strength in society, there's no denying its necessity. Healthy families and strong communities depend on the leadership and bravery of good men. Yet, the current trend is to feminize young men in the hopes of achieving some utopian notion of equality and peace. And it starts at the earliest ages. In the school
I'm
classroom,
curious.
boys are invariably the problem. On the playground, aggressive games like dodgeball have long been banished. We tell young men that their intrinsic desire to compete is wrong. Everybody gets a trophy. Don't run up the score. This anti-male tilt continues.
Okay, so she's mixing premises there. So she's talking about how we feminize boys. But by your definition of masculinity, masculinity is someone who gives, who does not run away from that responsibility to give, protect, sacrifice your body for others. By your definition, does feminizing mean that we teach them to be takers and receivers all the time? Even by her own definitions of like anti-male, well, we're against aggression. We're against competition. That wasn't that none of that stuff was included in her definition of what a masculine man is. She didn't talk about aggression. She didn't talk about strength. Yeah, it's very inconsistent. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Yeah, she's mixing up the premises.
On through higher education and into the workplace. It has created millions of tentative men, unhappy women, and confused boys and girls. Here's a secret that every woman knows. Women want real men. Men they can...
What does that mean? Yeah, translated, we took everything from you, men. Yeah, we took everything from you, men, but we still need more. Yeah. And we don't want to give up anything to you. We don't want to give up any of our precious power, leverage, or freedom. She is AI. That's entirely possible.
Count on and yes, look up to. No amount of feminist theory will change that. I don't know any woman at any age who is attracted to a passive man who looks to her to be his provider, protector, and leader. Every woman I know wants a strong, responsible man. That's not a consequence of a social construct or cultural pressure. It's innate. The devaluation of masculinity won't end well because feminine, passive men don't stop evil. Passive men don't defend, protect, or provide. Passive men don't lead. Passive men don't...
Okay, now we mentioned leadership, but she didn't explain what leadership was. She didn't include that in her definition. Yes, passive men don't lead. But what does that mean? That was nowhere in your discussion before this moment. What is that? What are you talking about?
We have always needed men to do for society to thrive. In his book, The Abolition of Man, English social philosopher C.S. Lewis writes about this problem. He describes the tension between cerebral man and visceral man. By his intellect, Lewis explains, man is mere spirit, and by his appetite, mere animal. We need both. Take away one, and you're left with a man who's either weak or wicked. And in a world of wickedness, weak men are nothing more than enablers of wicked men.
Are they not then also enablers of wicked women? Asking for a friend, asking for science. Just curious. Yeah.
Rape, murder, war. They all have two things in common. Bad men who do the raping, murdering, and warring, and weak men who won't stop them. We need good men who will. It's not masculinity that's toxic. It's the lack of it. I'm Ali Stuckey for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To help keep PragerU videos free...
Okay, I'm curious if they have like a reverse of this. PragerU, make women feminine. Anything like this. How to embrace your femininity. Kids shows? The myth about the gender war, feminism 2.0, I don't know. I'm worried to click on this. Embrace your femininity. What does this have to do with kids shows? This was 3 years ago, and basically, yeah, compared to their subscriber count, nobody watched this.
What does it mean to be feminine?
Does it mean having the perfect figure or
Why is a man
like
talking?
A fairy tale princess?
What's
Does
happening?
It mean running around in high heels and sparkly dresses?
Being feminine isn't a costume. It's something to be proud of. Today we give you
Proud why? What do you mean
3
proud?
tips on how to embrace your femininity.
I'm worried. I'm deeply concerned what's about to happen here.
Number 1, don't get caught up in stereotypes. In today's age, it's a big question what a woman should look like, or what a woman even is for that matter. And people are running away from gender stereotypes as far as possible. Yeah, I'm not like other girls. I just find being girly so cliche.
Okay.
But don't you think men are toxic?
Oh yeah.
Then why are you trying to be like one?
Things are getting confusing.
So I'm already confused myself. So you're saying don't like wear it like an aesthetic, but you're also saying just don't give in to the stereotypes. Go wear the aesthetic stereotype of a woman. Is that what we're saying here? I don't get it.
But you as a woman do not have to get caught up in the frenzy. Most gender stereotypes exist because they reflect the way that men and women are naturally different. And those differences aren't bad. Men and women complement each other and create a well-balanced family and community. So don't let anyone tell you it's bad to fit stereotypes. Those people are just trying too hard to be cool. Oh, pink. How original. If you want to wear pink, Wear pink if you want to dress up.
I can't do this anymore. I can't watch this one anymore. So yeah, it's not an aesthetic to put on, but just wear pink. That'll make you a woman. That'll make you feminine. Okay. I don't, what's the next one? I just be positive. Okay. I guess that would help. Yeah. Respect yourself and others. I'm deeply concerned about what respecting yourself means in this particular context.
First have to respect yourself and the people around you. This starts by realizing that the most important thing in life is not how pretty you look or how much makeup you put on. The most important thing is living for something bigger than yourself, having values and a cause to live for. You have to realize that your life can make a difference in the lives of others, and you are way more valuable than just a body. Understand your worth.
Okay, understand your worth, have a value. This sounds like stuff you would say to men. Go be part of a mission. Go have a big thing, a big impact that you are going to make on the world around you. Yeah, okay. All right, that's enough of that. The real reason I got started on this topic is because some guys were sending me videos like this one, where women, I guess, have been complaining that Christian men are too feminine. The church is filled with feminine men. I don't know if we'll watch this whole thing. Definitely gonna speed it up because it's long. Let me know if it's too fast. But yeah, this is interesting.
All right, y'all. The church is filled with feminine men. There's a masculinity crisis in the church. In the church house. There's a masculinity crisis.
Apparently.
And Joanne is here to share her testimony of why she believes that is the case. Now, I want to watch this video. This video sparked the entire conversation. And then I also want to watch a few more videos that also piggyback on this concept that there is, in fact, a masculinity crisis in the church. Now, do I agree with that? Do I disagree? You have to wait and find out.
Okay, we'll wait and find out, bud.
You're going to have to wait and find out to see my opinion.
All right.
Let's start with Joanne.
Supposed to get married as Christian women when...
Hold on, I'm sorry.
So how are we supposed to get married as Christian women when 98% of the men in church are feminine? And I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm literally not. Like, the Lord has confirmed this to me. I've heard this from many prophets, many men of God as well, that like the church is filled with feminine men. And it's like the women are outdoing the men. Like, even in the spirit, we're outdoing the men. So it's like...
Yeah. Testimony is just called a story. No need to over spiritualize everything a woman says. Yeah, she's just telling her version of events. I'm not sure what makes that a testimony, because it doesn't seem to have anything to do with her salvation or her faith.
How are we supposed to marry these people that are supposed to lead us? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to share 2 examples just because I want people to know that this is a serious issue. Okay. So number 1,
2 examples
I went to this church for a while. I was a member there, served there. And there was this one boy in particular that I thought was very fine, very cute. You know, like, I was just like, oh, like, he's cute, period. Now, I knew he also thought I was cute because I don't even know how. He ended up finding me on Instagram, and then we followed each other, right? But then nothing ever really happened. It kind of just was like we followed each other on Instagram. But even when we got to church in person, he wouldn't say nothing. Like, he wouldn't even say hi. And I'm talking about, we would be shoulder to shoulder. We would be sitting in the same pew. And it's almost like he didn't even want to say hi or acknowledge that I was there, which I just found very weird. Because like, why are you following me on social media, but then in real life, you don't want to talk? So that was the underlying issue. And like the few times that we did talk, the Holy Spirit...
Well, maybe is it that he followed you on social media, saw some things you posted there, or learned a little bit more about you and decided he didn't want you? Maybe decided that, hey, well, let's imagine for a second that she might be picking men who are hyper attractive and who have lots of options themselves. Could it possibly be that this guy was just like, oh, she's cute, may be interesting, I'll give her a follow, maybe I'll swing around to that later, but I have other women I can talk to. And she's just not used to that idea. She's not used to the idea that she, that she wouldn't be perfect enough for like a guy to fall over themselves to be with her. God told her, sounds like an ascended master, IMO. Yeah. For those who don't know what ascended masters are, it's a part of theosophy. One, Helena Blavatsky was one of the original progenitors of this particular false religion, claiming that they, one of the feminist founders, by the way, in like mid-1800s, claims to have spoken with these beings that she called ascended masters. They're just demons. It's just demons. That's all it is. Yeah, she's listening to her fallen angels. Exactly. Yeah.
Spirit literally said, Joanne, just continue to be yourself and be kind, right? Because I'm a personal person. Like, I like talking to people, like I like relating with people, and I just feel like if I follow you on social media, I'm going to talk to you in real life, right? Especially if we're going to the same church, fellowshipping.
Yeah, projecting. So I would do this way. So if a guy doesn't do it the way that I would do it, obviously it means the same thing as what I would mean, right? If I followed a guy and then didn't talk to him, I would be doing that to spite him in some way. Okay? You're not really revealing anything about what's going on in his mind. You're really only telling on yourself. That's kind of it. Yeah, is she on 2x or what? I did speed it up a little bit just because I don't want to sit through all of this slop. I'll slow it down a tiny bit.
Together, like, it shouldn't be anything too crazy to say hi to somebody, right? Now, I went to the Holy Spirit about this because a lot of the girls in the church were saying the same thing, that like a lot of the men like just wouldn't talk, but like they knew that the men found them attractive and like all this stuff, right? So I went to the Holy Ghost about it because I was like, I talk to the Holy Spirit like he's my best friend, because he literally is.
Yeah, I go talk to the Holy Spirit. I get all my news from there. I get all of my direction and advice from the vibes that come from deep within my soul, the burning in my bosom. Yeah. Listen, it could be the Holy Spirit. I don't know. But, somehow, yeah, I'm skeptical, especially with what she's hearing. Again, could it possibly be that her and all her other girlfriends are really only focused on a few men? When they say the men, they're talking about the few that they find attractive enough. And yeah, I'm sure those guys know that you're into them, but maybe they're not interested in you for reasons. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've never heard from God except through reading his word. Always super skeptical of the he talked to me crowd. Yeah. It is important to remember that in scripture, God very rarely audibly spoke to people. It was exceptionally rare. Old Testament and New Testament, even the godliest of people didn't really have that sort of direct line. It was never described that way, at least. So, right, if Solomon only really spoke to God twice, I think I'm right in saying he actually only heard from God twice in his life. King David, it wasn't really much more than that. Even a lot of the apostles don't really mention having direct contact or communication with God very much. So it seems to be the outlier, not the norm, for God to just, hey, I'm going to speak to you. Pause game, champ strikes again. Yeah. Guys, it's my skill. It's my gift and my curse.
So I went to the Holy Spirit about it, and then I had this dream. So long story short, I was walking in this hallway to get to the main sanctuary of the church, but then I saw my pastor, the bishop, right, talking to the boy that I think is cute. So they were talking in the hallway, and then my pastor, he's like my former pastor because I no longer go to the church, but he waved me down. He was like, oh, Joanne, come talk with us. I was like, okay, period. So I went up to them in the dream to join their conversation. So I walk up to them, and then my pastor is like, oh, Joanne, it's so good to see you. Like, we rarely see you anymore. For context, in real life, I'm a minister, I'm a model. Like, I just do so many different things that require me.
Excuse me. Guys, I'm struggling. She's a minister. Yeah, she's a model. So 2 things that guys definitely want to have in their life. Those are 2 things that they want to be married to. They want to be married to a woman who is a spiritual leader. By minister, it sounds almost as if she's saying she's a teacher of the word. And someone who's a model, which means she is in some form or fashion showing off her body for money. She could be a very modest model, but she's still selling her looks for money. Yeah, it could be that guys know that you're there. They know that you're interested, but they don't want a boss babe minister girl who's also modeling on the side to make her money. Model plus ministry. Yeah, those two things don't overlap. Yeah. Guys, it's a struggle.
To
She's
travel, and my
lukewarm,
schedule
yeah.
is not always the same. So like I can't always go to church.
Lukewarm at best. Yeah, I feel like that's best case scenario. I'm sure she would probably say the same about us because we don't hear from the Spirit all the time. And we're not out there ministering. Maybe. I don't know. Go to Hillsong Girl. Maybe she's a hand model. Hey, if she's a hand model, sure, great, fine. That'd be great. How many girls say I'm a model and mean I am a hand model or an ear model or a back of head model? Yeah, I don't feel like that's a high degree of probability. Probably not. Not a biblically endorsed woman. Yeah. Those are things that the Bible does not speak highly of. Like adorning yourself with jewelry and making your beauty your outward appearance and focusing focusing a ton on that. Not really highly spoken about in the New Testament. And women being ministers and teaching the Bible to groups of people. Unless she's a women's only minister, I don't know. Yeah, neither of those things are highly spoken about in Scripture. Yeah, it could be that you're experiencing the consequences of your actions and it has nothing to do with masculinity. Note that is so far the only thing that she's complained about. She's not saying that these guys are weak or they're soft in any other way. She's just saying they won't come talk to me, assuming that they would and that she is the prize, she is the catch. The only possible problem is that these guys are too weak and cowardly to come over and talk to her. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are perfectly masculine and they're displaying their masculinity by saying no. Maybe they're perfectly masculine. You just don't like what their masculinity has led them to do.
In person. Like, so anyway, my pastor was like, oh, so good to see you. We haven't seen you in a long time, right? And then the boy, right? So the boy that I'm talking about, the boy that I think is cute or, you know,
look her up?
was
Yeah.
cute at the church.
I'm curious.
He told the bishop, like he told the pastor right in front of me, he was like, oh yeah, bishop, because Joanne always wants to sit in the back. Like you should tell her to come to the front and she needs to come say hi to me.
That's a good point. She's a minister. She's a model. She literally lives off of men's attention. Yeah, if she's a model, it's not like she's getting a ton of attention from women. Right? That's not who drives modeling quite so much. And ministering, yeah, exactly. She lives for attention. A masculine man is going to be like, nah, this is not me. I want a woman who's going to be behind the scenes and be a support and a helper. Who's going to be feminine, genuinely. If I'm actually masculine. Sorry, and you're not it. I want someone who's going to be loyal and keep their body within our house. That's not you, sorry.
When she comes to the front. Like, I wish I could make this up, but literally this boy in the dream was telling our pastor to basically tell me to come sit next to him in the church, and then I should also say hi to him every single time. And this is the issue, right? Like, men are supposed to lead. Men are supposed to...
Okay, yeah. So she had a dream about how this guy was being a weak loser. That's her intel on this, is a dream that she believes she got from God. Could not have come from her subconscious. Couldn't have come from there. Couldn't have come from, yeah, she's receiving messages from demons. Couldn't have, yeah, no possibility that could be what's speaking to her. It does not sound as if she actually went and talked to this guy and found out for sure. She had a dream about how this guy was just weak and insecure and had to go get the pastor to come tell her to come say hi. And she took that as gospel. Guys, how many times have, if any of you are married or have a girlfriend, how many times have your significant other had a dream about something you did that you did not do? Or something they thought you were going to do that you were not going to do? How many times have they ascribed or attributed completely the wrong motivations to your behavior or speech? How often does that happen? Happens to me every so often. All right, my wife has told me about some dreams where she woke up mad because I did something dumb in the dream, and then she woke up and was like, wait a second, that's not him. He wouldn't do that. And she knows me. Like, she's doing this with a guy she doesn't even know. And she's taking her dream as gospel. Yeah, Just trusting the dream as if that couldn't possibly lead her astray. Yeah, she will get mad at you because of a dream, yeah. Men are too feminine. Source. It was it was told to me in a dream. I was promised this masculinity 3,000 years ago.
To pursue. But then we have all of these feminine men in the church, and the Holy Spirit even began to show me that, like, you know, unfortunately, pastors are enabling this. Like, they're literally enabling the men of God in the church to just kind of be passive when it comes.
And now she's blaming the pastor too, based on the dream. Because in her dream, the pastor went along with what the guy asked for. This is layers upon layers wild. I'm so glad you guys sent me this video. This is wild.
Comes to dating, when it comes to like marriage, and just wait for the woman to wail and lay down like Ruth. And it's like, bro, even when you study the book of Ruth, I taught this on my online ministry, Faith and Favor, but Ruth didn't go and lay down and be bold in front of Boaz until Boaz made her feel safe, secure, and seen. Like,
yeah. So Ruth did initiate, but it wasn't until, Boaz did his stuff too. Sure, fine. What was this ministry that she said she had?
Bro, to dating, when it comes to like marriage, and just wait for the woman to wail and lay down like Ruth. And it's like, bro, even when you study the book of Ruth, I taught this on my online ministry, Faith and Favor. But Ruth did.
Faith and Favor. Now we gotta know. Podcast on Spotify. Joanne Gabrielle, is this her? Can't tell. No picture. Faith and Favor. Prophetess. Yep, that's her. So she's a prophetess. Mountain Man Tops, would you be willing to cover this video from Theology of the Body? It's called Men, We Need You. Potentially. What's it about? I'm curious. That does sound interesting. Yeah. Yeah, they're LARPing as bishops without actually being bishops. Okay, so she's got this ministry thing. It's got 107,000 followers. Yeah, so it's entirely possible that this guy that she's thought was cute followed her because 100,000 other people follow her. What does that mean? So what if he followed you? That's not a sign that he's interested. Yeah. Oh, prosperity follows.
People that are set apart in the Spirit have authority. The people that were set apart in the Bible, they went through serious consecration. Oh, so stop thinking you're set apart and you're special, and you literally have no ranking in the Spirit. You're not. You're regular, degular. You're regular.
What?
And time is gonna tell, because when the end times come and it's dark and scary, all of the people shouting Esther anointing, people are gonna come to you to pray for deliverance, and you won't know how to pray, and you're gonna be exposed.
Okay.
And Joanne's not gonna come pray for you. No, trust. Because I'm gonna be fighting my own stuff. I don't have time to start. No, there's not gonna be time. So pray now. That's why Jesus is saying the way you're preparing now is gonna determine the prosperity of your future. Hear me.
Okay.
The way you're praying now, the way you're consecrating now.
So she's prosperity gospel. The way you're preparing and praying right now is the way, yeah, that's your prosperity in the future. Yeah, this is superstitious paganism mixed with Christianese. Yeah, this is not. Man, and she's got followers. This is so true. I'm confused. I thought the church will not be here. We must make good use of our time. Very true, God. The way God has been speaking to me about living with a posture of surrender and consecration about the warfare just got 100 times worse. Okay. Anyways, yeah, so guys, can we imagine some reasons why a guy might see this and go, I don't really want to talk to her. Not really super interested in that. I don't want to marry that. Mountain Man Tops, it's a passive-aggressive way of making men feel heard, and then she switches up to men's role as service. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Let's see how long it is. Because I don't know if I can make it through this entire video. Nick Jones, if you, yeah, let me Let me put this in, just in case we don't come back to this. Let me put this in the chat for you guys. If you want to watch this later, Nick Jones, he seems like an interesting guy who has some interesting takes. Go give him a follow. But man, every time I see a woman like this who's got 107,000 followers, it's so depressing. It's so demoralizing. It's like, man, how is it so easy for her to get followers when she's just saying words? Maybe that's my mistake. I'm thinking too hard before I speak. I don't know. Okay. But anyways, let's find this Theology of the Body video. Theology of the Body, men, we need you.
But Ruth didn't
what's
go
happening?
and lay down and be.
No, stop. Get out of there. Theology of the Body, men, we need you. Okay, I'm already concerned because I see a woman staring at me. Theology of the Body, what is this? It looks very new agey and not Christian at all, but it looks like it's Elizabeth explores the crisis of masculinity and debunks the lies the culture tells about toxic masculinity. How long is this? Oops, only 7 minutes? Yeah. Calling all Christian men.
We need you.
She looks like a
need
ghoul.
your authentically masculine heart. We need the incredible gifts that you bring to the world, to this culture. We, not just women, you know, I am a woman, I speak on behalf of women, but we, the culture, the world, needs what you have to offer. I have such a heart for men, and here's why. Because the culture has lied to you. The culture has spent so much time talking about how toxic masculinity is as a whole, has spent so much time telling you that you don't have what it takes, has spent so much time telling you that what you need to do is focus on yourself, on your needs, on your gratification.
There it is. Yeah. Yeah. So again, very similar to the PragerU video, men, we are not getting what we want from you. Bird hands. Yeah. Men, we're not getting what we want from you. So that's a problem. And you're being selfish. And so we need you to come back. A couple of people over in the Discord. Let's see. Espen. Feminists often tell on themselves when they use feminine titles to insult men, like, little princess, queen, diva, or little girl. They will also mock a man if his wife is the man of the house or the one wearing the pants. If women are equal to men, if not better, how is that an insult? Yeah. Right. Yeah. If women are so much better, or if women are so much the same, then why is it an insult to call a man a woman? Yeah, it's a good point. Darth Frog. The problem is that a lot of women with good relationships in their with their fathers means that in their minds, a real man or true masculinity involves her being treated like a princess. Right, which she then imposes on her boyfriends and husbands. That's why they focus so much on performative aspect of chivalry. Yeah, I mean, it could be that... Yeah, I guess what you're saying is they're looking for a replacement dad, in a way? Oh, somebody sent me a Ryan Long video. Those are always funny. We will, we'll have to get into that one. Yeah, she's a false prophetess, yeah. Theology of the Body is Catholic, is it? JP2 stuff? I don't know. Theology of the Body, it looks very new agey. I'm not trusting that it's really much of anything.
On you needing to, whatever
Christian,
it is,
anyways.
whatever lies you have been told about you.
Yeah. Stop being about yourself or enjoying your life over there without us. We want you to come give to us so that we can enjoy our lives. Right. What about all of the femisphere that has been saying, hey, ladies, it is all about you. And it's about what you get from men. You give nothing. Yeah. Yeah. She is Catholic? Okay.
They are lies and they will never satisfy. And we are having an actual crisis of masculinity because men have not been taught that what will bring them satisfaction, what will bring them happiness is living authentic masculinity.
It's JP2,
And
yeah.
what is authentic masculinity? Authentic masculinity is
Speed her up a bit.
serving. We have the ultimate
Serving,
man.
yep.
God in his mercy
There it is.
has given us the ultimate man, the ultimate, penultimate. What does it mean to be a man? What does it look like? And that is Jesus Christ. God the Son became incarnate, took
Okay, are you going to describe one specific part of what Jesus did, which we can probably all guess? Or is she going to describe the entirety of what he did? Guys, do we want to put this up on Kalshi? Take some bets?
on flesh so that he could tell you what it means to be a man for a lot of reasons. But one of them is to show you what it means to be fully human, and you men to show you what it means to be a man. And if you study the life of Christ, it will show you that he came to serve. Not only did he ultimately lay down his life
Sure.
for all of us, we do know that he did that. But if you actually read scripture, you see over and over that he served people. He served
Right.
the poor. He served the
He did.
vulnerable. He served
did.
the people that nobody else wanted to love. He
Yep. And you know what else he did? He led his disciples highly authoritatively. He also held his people accountable. He turned over tables. He stood against evil. Right? He told us, he came and to tell us to repent and to submit to his lordship. Exactly. Yeah, what it means to be a man equals do whatever I want and serve me. Yeah. What does the Bible say about face painters like this? Yeah, well, apparently if we just read scripture, what she's saying is, hey, if you just read scripture, you see this Jesus in here who just gives and gives and gives and serves and serves and serves, and that is it, that is all. And that's what it means to be a human. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I struggle with the language surrounding biblicality, right? This is the kind of thing people will say, oh, this is biblical. Right? This is biblical masculinity. When they're saying that, what they really mean is you cannot disagree with me. If I left something out of the picture, you can't bring it up. You can't talk about it because I referenced scripture, and because scripture is completely authoritative and perfect, you're not disagreeing with me. You're disagreeing with God. So you are the problem. Stop talking back to me. Talking back to God's word. Yeah, just go read scripture and you'll see that what I'm saying is right. It's not, hey, this isn't my opinion. This is just what God said. Don't blame me for this. Says the person who, read certain pieces of scripture, which are true, but left out a bunch of others that are very important. Yeah. Mod question, what's a better way to support you through YouTube or Patreon? It is entirely up to your preference. They have slightly different perks. So it's really up to you to just decide which perks make more sense for you. Like you'll get more access to the Discord through Patreon. I'm pretty sure there's some exclusive channels for Patreon only. But you'll also get extra reaction videos over here on YouTube and things like that. So yeah, totally up to you. Yes, guys, become a channel member here on YouTube or on Patreon, whichever you prefer, whichever is easier. It helps the channel a ton. Women telling men how to be men. Serve the female imperative. Yes, this is what she's saying, exactly. Yeah, when Jesus served, it was from a place of authority. It was expected that they follow his authority. If they didn't follow it, then he never knew them. That's a great point. Right? And Jesus did not continue on serving the people who rejected him. He didn't keep washing their feet and healing them, right? He wasn't feeding them. He wasn't doing that for the Pharisees. He wasn't doing that for the people who said, no, I don't want you. And I don't submit to you as Lord. He didn't do that. He served, but only to people who bent the knee and submitted to him as Lord. Yeah.
loved those people. He had
Send a video over in content ideas. Can you review it for me, please? We'll see if we get around to it. Yeah, apparently this is a hot topic. People are sending me stuff left and right. We'll see what we have time for.
feelings. He engaged with those feelings. He expressed those feelings. So he had righteous anger and he expressed it appropriately. He had sadness and he expressed it appropriately. He had fear and he expressed it appropriately, right? Father, I don't want to do this, but if it be your will, basically give me the grace to do it in the garden. I don't want to drink this cup, but not my will, but yours be done. He surrendered that fear to the Lord. He wept when he was sad. He took action when he was angry. These are the things that an authentic man is meant to do, but all in the posture of service. And if nobody has ever told you, if no one has ever told you this, let me be the big
we've
sister
been
who can
told.
tell you this. You have what it takes already. You have already been equipped in your masculine heart to serve. You've already been equipped to do it.
Yeah.
You were created
Sure.
as a man with everything that you needed to live.
Yeah, you have everything in you that you need to be subservient to the will of the woman. You have everything in your nature going all the way back to Genesis. Right when the husband stood by, when Adam stood by as Eve ate the fruit, instead of stopping her. You have everything in your nature to do that again. Just keep doing that.
Live authentic masculinity. And on top of that, you have the grace of the sacrament of baptism that makes you into a child of God, that gives you everything that you need to be able to receive the grace of the Lord and to live your authentic masculinity. You have what it takes. I believe you and I am rooting for you. If you want a practical way to do this, the first thing I want to tell you is as soon as you're done with this video, put your phone down. When you are staring at your phone, it is going to be so impossible for you to live this masculine design.
Sure.
Men were not created, humans in general, but especially men, were not created to just sit and be stagnant all day. Their testosterone that pumps through your body demands that you move your body, whether you're doing it through
Okay.
exercise, whether you're doing it
Now we're
through,
getting into the body
like, manual
part of this.
labor, right? Like splitting logs. If you have a job that allows you to do that, like working in construction or something like that, that's one thing. But if you don't have that, if you work at a computer all day, you
okay,
need
whatever. I don't care about her body advice. Let's see what's this last thing she says.
And ultimately, I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't mention this in this video. Become a man of prayer. When men especially are able to kneel
Fine.
before God, what that communicates to you, what that's going to tell your heart is that he is God and you are not. And men especially need to recognize that they are not God, because the way that the fall manifests in the heart of a man is that he wants the fall of man, sin, blah, 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 all that. The way that manifests in the heart of a man is that you want to be God. You want to be number one. You want to be right all the time. And it's only when
I had a feeling she was going somewhere like that. Yeah, so men, you need to pray more so that you don't fight back when I tell you that you're wrong. You need to just accept it when I say, hey, you're wrong. Because you're not God, man. You're not God. You can't be right all the time. So when I argue with you and tell you what I want from you, you need to just give in and submit to that, because you're not God. Yeah. She's projecting. That's crazy, right? Yeah. Nothing but condescending and insulting. I'm curious what the comments have to say about this. Well, some positive. This guy's positive about it. The problem is the legal framework is openly hostile to men. That good men, including religious men, in increasing numbers are simply saying to themselves that it is not worth the risk. Yep. She's not addressing that. Yeah. The Catholic bros seem to be embracing it. Yeah, they're like, yeah, I needed this. Okay. Yeah. They seem to be on her side. Okay. Well, except for this guy. I'm sorry, sister, but I'm going to have to correct you, or perhaps give you the perspective of a man. The one message that keeps good men away from society is this. We as men have been told over and over that we're not needed, that we're inherently toxic and to blame for everything in the world. Only women and children and dogs are loved unconditionally. As we as men are only valued for what we can provide as a tool, which most men wouldn't even disagree with if a little bit of appreciation came along with our hard work and our sacrifices, right? But we don't even get that for a lot of guys. I'm a single father, and I'm doing what I can to keep my son on the straight and narrow, and it's disheartening to hear what society tells our young boys and men. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, that was interesting. Thanks for sending that in. Here's another one. There's Hope Brand. I think somebody sent me this one as well. Or it's based on something similar.
Right, this is getting out of hand. I've only really seen women talking about this issue. So
Why is the
as a
audio
married
doubled?
Christian man, I thought I would just throw my hat in the ring and see what happens. I'm just gonna go rapid fire because I feel like there's a lot of nuance that people are simply ignoring for the sake of wanting to be right and fueling the fire of a gender war that we really just don't need to be having right now. Number one, yes, women have...
Okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't need to be having it, except it has not been us who has foisted it upon the world. It has been foisted upon us. We are not the aggressors. We did not start this particular fight.
I hear you. A lot of men in the church right now are way too passive. I get that. You want to be pursued. That's good and godly. So men of God, start asking them out. Be bold. But ladies, please, if my brother in Christ gets the courage from the Spirit of God to ask you out and your standards are not met, I'm talking his height, his job title, please don't be complaining, because I personally know a bunch of my single guy
Bro has
friends who've
voice
been on
squared.
the pursuit, but
Yeah.
keep getting rejected because a box isn't being checked. That has nothing to do with their character or their godliness. Okay?
Yeah, I hate his delivery. It's so social media, bro. Yeah.
Number two, and this applies to both sides.
Down to the hand
Do
gestures.
not expect the
Guys, maybe that's why I'm not super famous and I don't have tons of followers. I'm not doing the hand gestures, and I don't have really terrible audio. Yeah. But again, it's another person assuming that the problem is, well, yeah, men are just not going for it. As if that's the problem. Please no. Yeah. Right, but what if men just don't want what's on offer? What if the risk is too high, the cost is too high, and the rewards are too low? What if that's a part of the equation here? Sure, yeah, and to be perfectly clear, there's some validity to some of this. Guys are not maximally masculine. Now we got to get into a better definition of what that means. What is masculinity? Because so far, the only definitions we've heard are giving. Just a source of resources for other people. Nothing about strength, really. Nothing about being firm and hating evil, fighting against it. Yeah, counteroffer. No. Yeah. Right, there's nothing in here about strong authoritative leadership. Competition, barely mentioned. So we have a strange definition of masculinity. But sure, even if we define it properly, yeah, you can say that a lot of guys don't meet the ideal. Okay, fine. But, right, but what about the other side of the equation? You get what you incentivize. How are these men incentivized to be masculine? And second, I feel like this is also kind of the older generations telling on themselves a bit as well, because they're the ones who raised these unmasculine boys that they're so distressed and disgusted by. You raised them. And they're treating it now as if masculinity is just a switch you can flip at any time and just be it. As if it isn't something you have to build up from the time that you're young. As if spending the first 22 years of your life entirely cocooned by women in their world would have no effect on them long term. And basically giving them no choice about it. You're stuck here. You have no way to get out into the world of men. Your mothers raised them. Female teachers raised them. Women run even higher education and academia. Right? You're 22, 24, 26 years old by the time you get out of that. It's all feminine influence. Where's the male influence during any of your formative years? Before your this lady's all about theology of the body, but does she talk about neuroplasticity and how that slows down when you get older? It's like, yeah, these guys can improve. And I don't want to discourage any guy from becoming better. There's no part of me that wants to. I want all of you guys to become the absolute best men that you can be, to become the maximum versions of yourself. The ones who can fight the most evil and defeat the most of it. The ones who can do the most good. That's who I want you guys to become. But at some point, we have to reckon with the fact that the previous couple of generations nerfed their sons in those departments by outlawing and demonizing masculinity, true masculinity, strong masculinity, not just giving masculinity, but aggressive, genuinely powerful masculinity. We still outlaw that version of it. Because notice none of these people on the conservative side talk about being powerful in your masculinity. So we're afraid of offending the power imbalance between men and women. That exists regardless of what you try to do. It just is there. Yeah, we nerfed men. We flattened them from the time that they were kids and expected no consequences for that. Right. Yeah. Yeah. This one from Espen over on Discord. So I'm done with this video. I don't think I can take much more of that. Espen made this one for us.
So, how's that leg doing?
Great, never better.
Good. Why don't you try putting some weight on it?
Sure. Yes. Oh, that's good. That feels good. Very strong.
Sorry, Thunder. I gotta put you down.
Huh? How's your leg? You ready to race? Huh?
That was good. That was really, really good. We need more of that. Oh, yeah, the quiet man. Boomers / Gen X forgot Proverbs 22:6 for masculinity. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a thing. That was so good. What's the name of the opening song from the stream? I don't know. That's a good question. It was on random. It's on shuffle, and I don't have the names of these songs memorized. They're all just kind of random stuff that I picked up all over the place. I wish I could tell you. Anyways. Whoa. That was not what I was expecting, but
masculinity is in a crisis. All around.
This is Cole Hastings. I guess he's kind of famous. Can we have a drop of the playlist in the Discord? I don't think because it's licensed music that I paid for, I don't think I can. I don't think I'm allowed to. Opening music is great at 2x speed. Yeah. If you mean just like the intro song while it's the just starting screen, I might be able to find the name of that, and you might be able to like go download that from Artlist or something. I don't know. Let me see what it is. I don't think I could do that right now. Anyways, yeah, I don't know if I want to watch this one. This is, Cole Hastings. Somebody said he's a grifter. Yeah, just use Shazam. By boomers, do you mean the government? I thought so. Yeah. Well, aren't they kind of one and the same? I used to watch him a lot. He's cool, but I prefer watching other guys than him. Yeah, let's watch a little bit.
The globe, creators in niches like self-improvement, the red pill, or anything else related to these categories are talking about the war on masculinity.
Why do you think there is such a crisis of masculinity?
Feminism has creeped into the mainstream like this.
Man spends his day lying in bed surrounded by screens.
And I have to admit, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what they say. But hear me out, because what I'm suggesting...
Yeah, the way they was talking about men... Oh, hold up, Captain. Sorry, I gotta put my reading cap on, Captain Cisco. They was talking about men need to get in touch with feminine side on Oprah's show in the 90s. You remember how now yes, I do remember that. That was my childhood, Brad. Now they suffer the consequences. Right, guys got in touch with their feminine side because they were told that their masculine side was bad. Like the actual powerful part of it was bad. Not just the providing and giving. That's what's so kind of disingenuous about that whole conversation, is they're saying, hey, the world has been saying that masculinity is toxic. And so they've been telling you that that you shouldn't have to give. No, that isn't what they've been saying. They've been saying that masculinity is toxic because it's powerful. They've been saying that masculinity is toxic when it has authority over others. It's toxic because it creates power imbalances and therefore value and self-worth imbalances and therefore happiness and satisfaction imbalances. And so it's inherently oppressive and evil. It's such a disingenuous framing to say, oh, well, no, we demonized the way that you guys were giving stuff to us all the time. That part of masculinity, we demonized that, and that was a mistake, and now we need to get away from that. Nope, that is not what was demonized. What was demonized was power. Men who exercise authority. Men who instill discipline. Men who enact consequences for those who sin. Men who exhort and rebuke those who sin. Right? That is what we demonized. But you won't say that when you talk about toxic masculinity, how men need to be masculine again. You won't talk about the power part of it. You'll talk about the service and the provision and all the stuff that you get from men, the resources you get from them that flow from the man, emotional resources even. All of the stuff that flows from the man to you, and apparently not the other direction. Yeah, that is, guys, that is the masculinity that has been demonized for so long. Nope. No, you demonize power. And that's what frustrated the guys. Because you still demand the same things of them. You demand that everyone's outcomes, everything that happens to everyone, hang on the man's shoulders. That the man be the one responsible, the man take the blame for everything bad that happens. But you do not give him the authority to enact discipline when people sin. You do not give him the authority to command and lead authoritatively in order to avoid those bad things that end up on his shoulders. That is what men are checking out of. Men will happily give to you. They will happily sacrifice for you. But it comes at a cost. And that cost, sorry ladies, is your power. You don't get to have both. The guys are going to keep rejecting it now that they've figured it out. Sorry. Just how it is. Don't shoot the messenger.
Isn't to disband masculinity completely, I just think we need to upgrade the way we harness its power. When I was young, I went through a similar crisis that many young teenage men are facing these days. I had absolutely no clue what it meant to really be a man. I'd see heroes and male protagonists in movies like The Dark Knight, Gladiator, and even Taken being portrayed as an unstoppable force of nature, packed with brawn, grit, and muscle. And I'd wonder if that was what I needed to aspire to be. My everyday life wasn't filled with much of the same though. In school, most of the teachers I had growing up were women. And what the man I was closest to,
Yeah, you can't say it comes with a cost. That's selfish, right? Yeah, and that's the thing. That's another thing guys are rejecting, is that sort of emotional manipulation and guilt thing. You pressed the guilt and shame button too much, and now we're desensitized to it and we don't care. Nope. We see through the leveraging. We see through the spiritual manipulation and emotional manipulation. We're just not doing it anymore.
father was really good at was encouraging me to play a bunch of sports like soccer, baseball, and hockey. Those things fueled my competitiveness and made me feel like I was tackling big accomplishments, as I thought a man should be. But when it came to the other, more personal realms of my life, I was left extremely confused. I didn't know how I should treat or talk to women, battle through hardships, and especially manage my emotions. By the end of middle school and all throughout high school, I found myself associated with the more popular guys in my grade. A group of rowdy, in-your-face partygoers who like to funnel several beers at once, be degenerates, and hook up with tons of girls. And because of everything I had seen portrayed in my life up until that point, along with the fact that I had no real sense of what it meant to be manly, I took part in these behaviors in an effort to feel more like a man. But I have to admit, a lot of the stuff we did back then, I took part in because it actually was just a really fun time. But regardless of this association and the fact that I took part in all these behaviors, I still felt like the least masculine out of all my friends. They would all have such an easy time talking to girls and sleeping with them. They would get into fights at parties when I didn't want to, and they even did better in school and some sports than me. And nothing made me feel like less of a man than not being able to get hard for almost an entire year with every girl I tried to sleep with in college. All of these traditionally masculine traits I was trying to embody, dominance, aggression, competitiveness, and power, were were only leading me to feel more depressed and less masculine because I could not fully embrace them. And in a world where 3 out of every 4 people that choose to stop living are men, we have to ask this crucial question. What parts of traditional masculinity are making men no longer want to live, that make men feel worse rather than better, and what parts of traditional masculinity genuinely help men live better lives for themselves and those around them?
Could
There
be
isn't going to be a
interesting.
straight answer that will apply to every single man.
Yeah, sounds like the humble brag of a reformed bad boy. Yeah, he's very honest. Yeah, and somebody said at least he admitted that he had fun. Okay. Yeah. We'll see where he goes with this.
Out there.
I don't know if
Today,
I'll watch the
I'm
whole
going to try
thing.
and tackle this question as comprehensively as I can. First, we need to identify what masculinity even is in the traditional sense.
Let's see what
Masculinity
he
is a
says.
set of traits or attributes that are regarded as characteristic of men. But you can see anyone exude masculine characteristics, not just men. We've already gone over 4 traits commonly associated with masculinity, which are dominance, power, aggression, and competitiveness, but I want to combine and add these to 3 core masculine traits that I want to go over in detail. And those 3 traits are strength, assertiveness, and leadership. So let's start by going over what is touted as the golden trait of masculinity, strength. And I'm not just talking about physical strength. I'm talking about being mentally strong as well. If you're a
Okay. So he got into power. He mentioned that, and he kind of wrapped that into strength, it looks like he's saying. But I'm curious if he'll do the typical bait and switch where he ends up saying mental strength is just enduring what other people do to you instead of doing anything about it. We'll see.
Viewer of my channel, it's likely you've come across these reject modernity, embrace masculinity videos on YouTube. They all follow the same formula. Start by showing some weak men doing modern things like eating too much junk food, putting on dresses on TikTok, or simping over Twitch streamers, followed by what you should really be, which usually displays men lifting weights, being firefighters, athletes, or competitive fighters. All activities that require some sort of physical prowess. I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of these videos are incredibly inspiring. When I put one of these on before my workouts, then blast some hardstyle while pretending I'm one of those icons from the video, it gives me a huge boost of motivation and strength. But as with any masculinity message, I think the whole idea behind being stronger can be misconstrued and also just be toxic. You see, physical strength is usually determined
what do
by
you
a
mean
couple
toxic?
key factors: testosterone and muscle. Something positive that I think these videos indirectly underlines is the importance of bringing to awareness the declining testosterone rates in men for the past few decades.
Sure.
Testosterone is something that is closely
Okay.
intertwined with masculinity. It makes men feel more energetic, it makes them want to go after what they
True.
want, and it makes them generally happier. There's no doubt that the decline in testosterone
Thanks
rates
again.
could be one of the reasons for depression being on the rise in men, as low testosterone and being depressed are highly correlated. This indirect intention
True.
that one should boost their testosterone and have more strength and vigor for life from
What's he
these
getting at,
masculinity
though?
videos, I believe, is a big positive. Good, clean dieting and consistent exercise is appearing to become less and less valued, at least in American culture. But let's dive deeper
Yeah.
into this whole idea behind being physically strong. A lot of these videos only depict people who are extremely muscular and massive. For a young, impressionable teenager, this is what the ideal man is for them. Screw anything else. If they can just be massive and muscular, then people will respect them for how manly they are. But I disagree with the idea that having a more muscular physique makes you more of a man. If you are pursuing a
Sure,
strong
fine.
aesthetic body because you want to be able to tower over people and dominate them and have people be intimidated by you, you are subconsciously telling yourself that you are afraid to have any vulnerable points. You are only
Okay, and yeah, now he's not quite. Yeah, he's not quite cooking so much anymore. So now he's framing anything that would make you appear more powerful or actually be more powerful as a problem, because right, it's obviously it's a product of trauma. Bad things have happened to you, and it is an outpouring of your own insecurity if you want to actually be more powerful than another person. It can't have anything to do with the fact that sometimes power has value. If you apply it correctly, if you use it for good purposes, then being more powerful than other people can be incredibly helpful, right? Weakness is not a virtue, right? It does not make you a better man to be weaker than men who are monsters, for example. What if the reason why you want to be more powerful than other men and tower over them is because, yeah, you do want to protect yourself and others in case of we'll just say, an attack from somebody who hails from a different part of the world and has a different religion where they don't value human life the same? What if you do want to tower over those men? I don't think that's insecure at all. I don't think it's fair to immediately call that insecurity. Yeah. Health, utility, good looks, protection for myself and others, etc., etc. Yeah, there are good reasons to be fit. Yeah, Aragorn's literally the epitome of noble masculinity and strength. This guy's saying that Aragorn isn't it, basically. Smooth brain behavior. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I want to tower over others so I can maintain peace in my vicinity. The Buddha himself will look to me for enlightenment on pacifism. Yeah. Yeah, the male bodybuilding space never made me feel inadequate, as many, not all, are open about steroids and TRT. Women, however, will see Thor working out with elastic bands secretly on TRT. That's damaging. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so they're comparing themselves to something unfair without realizing it. Yeah. Yeah, strength is rule in the world. I'd rather be strong and influence my world instead of others dictating it for me. Right, there are plenty of reasons why you might want to be powerful, besides just insecurity and trauma and
pursuing a better body in a pursuit to cover up your past traumas and insecurities and suppress them at all costs. Because
let's be fair to him, maybe there are men out there who are just deeply insecure and they feel inadequate and they're just working out to make up for that. I'm sure there are plenty of men like that, but to just blanket label all of that as such is, it's a little bit of cope from a guy who could probably stand to go a little bit more himself, you know, throw up a couple of plates. Maybe.
Many men are taught to do just that.
Yeah, weakness tends to invite violence, right?
This is why you can be the most physically dominant man in the room, but still be the weakest in every other area. And when that is the case, you are just as fragile as the man who has no muscles and the same amount of insecurities. This is a part of traditional masculinity that I feel needs to be updated. I feel like a lot of young guys stop themselves from pursuing—
Brother, you are not going to update masculinity. Masculinity is a thing that exists regardless of what you say about it. Wow, the ego to be able to think you can just go in there and edit it yourself. I guess that's what 870,000 subscribers will do to you. Maybe it's a good thing that I don't have that many yet. Sep. Oh shoot, I got a great idea. This is over on Discord. Okay, Matt, I think I can bring you a lot of viewers. They'd all be gamers and most would just be there for the content, but some would stick around. I think all you need to do is react to this short little song. It's a boss theme from a little video game called Limbus Company and describes two former lovers who aren't coping well, to say the least. Your analysis, or lack of same, is a little vague. It is interesting, but being honest, this is a more 4-minute opportunity to expand the base and than serious content. Potentially, yeah. It depends if I'm allowed to play it without getting demonetized. That's my concern. I've noticed YouTube is very quick with the trigger finger when it comes to demonetizing, especially for music, things like that. So, Mr. Berg forever. Christian women don't reward strong men because strong men will introduce accountability and shame to society. Women don't want that. Yeah. Yeah, it depends on the type of strong. But yes, generally speaking, that's probably true. They don't want the kind of strong that I'm describing, where the man actually is, he's powerful enough to enact consequences and discipline for people who display bad behavior. I don't know if I could say that they definitely don't reward men, because oftentimes they will find it attractive even if part of their brain doesn't want to submit to it and rebels against that power. Right? It's the Schrodinger's feminist duality of woman kind of thing. So yeah, and rewards tend to be based more on attraction than on that type of thing. They might reward men who display that kind of power at times, but they will also definitely punish those men if that power steps on her, if his power steps on hers in the wrong way at the wrong time. And she will definitely punish those men if they fall below her threshold for attractiveness. Counterpoint, there is no masculinity crisis. Any day you wake up to food, water, and power proves men are working and sacrificing. It's that men with Either a spine or 2 brain cells reject the one-sided contract. Yeah, and that's one thing I'm really curious about is there's been a lot of crowing and a lot of complaining about masculinity. A lot of people saying that y'all just aren't enough. You aren't good enough. Aren't strong enough. You aren't providing enough. You aren't giving enough. But yeah, sure, you can find anecdotal evidence. You can find quite a number of guys who are, into very effeminate media, and they're wearing makeup, they're dressing like women, they're talking and moving like women. You can find that stuff. You can find men who aren't aesthetically masculine, and you can find men who aren't displaying very much power or authority. You can find men that aren't taking up responsibility. However you want to define masculinity, sure, there are plenty of men who will fail to meet that standard. But how big is that number? Right? How do we know that there's this absolute dearth of it? There just aren't any men out there who are strong, capable, they're trying their best. Has that number really changed since the 90s? Because there were losers back in the 90s too. There were losers in the 70s. I don't know, it's a little frustrating to be lectured by the generation that flocked to hair metal concerts in the 80s, right? They would fill up arenas watching men with long hair prancing around in women's clothes. Tell us about how unmasculine we are and how there's a masculinity crisis. It's a little weird, don't you guys think? So, yeah, I don't know. Is there a masculinity crisis? Have things really changed that much? I'm curious what you guys think. I never did that? Well, good, yeah. Yeah, there will always certain numbers of losers. However, what defines loser may expand. Yeah, it expands and contracts, I'm sure. You should check out Mark Driscoll's sermon from yesterday. He's white knight, but he finally preached on holding women accountable yesterday. He's occasionally tried to do it. And then, we'll see if it sticks, is my curiosity with him. Yeah, social media has caused damage to it. Social media is definitely, yeah. I would be willing to bet that men today are not the same as men 30 years ago. There is a difference, but how big is that difference? What does it look like? I don't know. The guys that I talk to, the guys who are in the chat, the guys who are in the Discord server, the guys that I have met through coaching and via interviews, it's a wide range. There's a lot of guys who you'd look at them and go, this was a normal man 30, 40 years ago. This was just a normal guy. But now he's being railed against as someone who's not masculine. And I think there might be something to what you're saying. It's not that men have lost their masculinity entirely. They are still providing to a general society. It's just that they're not providing for individual women anymore. And that is how people are, especially conservatives, that's how we're tracking masculinity. Are you providing for a woman directly? Because all of us as men, every time we pay our taxes, we are providing for women in general. But yeah, a lot of guys are looking at it and going, look, the women are rejecting us. They want nothing to do with us. They're disgusted by it, most of us. No matter how hard we work, how hard we try. Normal, we're normal. We are men who 30 years ago would have been normal and still not good enough for these ladies. They're not extending any sort of benefit of the doubt or grace to us. They're not content with normal in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah. Maybe you guys are just going, no. The risk is too high, the cost is too high, the rewards are too low. They're rejecting us. And we're not really interested in trying to climb over that wall that they've put up, because it does not look worth it. And maybe that's what they're calling unmasculine, right? So far in all the examples that we've looked at, that's been a part of it, except for this one, which maybe he gets into it. Mental strength. I'm curious how he defines mental strength.
Then more of it. Now, let's talk about the even more controversial aspect of strength in men, mental strength. This is one of the most widely misunderstood parts of what it means to be masculine. I remember when I was a teenager and I was out to dinner with my parents and my sister, and we were talking about how my sister was working through some sort of relationship issue. My mom was suggesting seeking some sort of help, and I was agreeing, and we ended up talking about how great it is that there are so many resources now for those struggling with their mental health. As a response, my dad said something along the lines of, "We used to just tell people to get over it," and it worked too. This, I feel, encapsulates a part of traditional masculinity that has caused decades of generational trauma in men. When men are taught that being mentally strong means being able to bottle up your emotions and get rid of them somehow, they are more likely to be depressed, hopeless, commit violent crimes, and be verbally and physically abusive. The problem is, this aspect is really confusing. We're told that society will take advantage of and disdain men for being emotional, and we're also taught that women don't want an emotional man. So if we're not...
Well, generally speaking, they don't. Because that's the other part of it is, yeah, maybe men are a bit more depressed if they bottle up how they feel, but how many times do they tell their woman exactly how they're feeling? And how they're feeling is despondent and hopeless. And she starts to lose respect for him and goes, "Ugh, that's an ick. I thought I wanted to hear him out and to know what's going on under the surface, but then he did it and it's kind of gross." And how often do people care either? Right? And that's another part of it is, yeah, sure. You can say men have always bottled up their emotions, but could it be possibly that they do that because nobody cares? It's not that they're told, "Oh, you shouldn't do it because that's just what a good man does." A lot of the time, men like his dad bottled up their emotions because they learned that was the only way to protect themselves. Nobody cared how they felt, and oftentimes, people would use it against them. Women would use it against them. They'd hold on to that little thing in the back of their mind, that little insecurity or weakness, and they'd dig a claw into it later on, use it against him. So he learned to just, hold it in to protect himself. Maybe. So that's what he says about mental health. And of course, it's related to an ad for BetterHelp. And I've just lost all faith in anything he has to say, because that was very definitely a setup for an ad. I should have seen that coming from a bazillion miles away. Assertiveness, leadership, okay. And my guess is he's going to equally subvert both assertiveness and leadership and say that they are something not at all like what they traditionally have meant.
Improve. All right, we've tackled the biggest core trait. Now let's move on to assertiveness. If you want to be masculine, you have to assert yourself in this world. You want to be able to say, "This is what I want, and this is how I'm going to get it." And you never want to be dishonest to yourself and others about what it is you want and need. But the way in which much of traditional masculinity approaches how to be more assertive isn't even really assertiveness. It's much more attuned to being passive-aggressive or actively aggressive. You see, on the two sides of the spectrum, we have assertiveness and passiveness. Someone who is passive is a massive people pleaser. They always put other people's needs in front of theirs.
Sure.
They're emotionally dishonest in an effort to not offend anyone.
Sure.
They're indirect with their words, and they overly apologize.
True.
This is the very opposite of what someone who is confident and emotionally mature, aka a man, does. Next to that is passive aggressiveness. When you are passive aggressive, you are still being emotionally dishonest and indirect with your actions and words, but instead you are subtly making it clear that your rights and needs prevail over others. A good example of this is someone who gaslights you for not doing what they want, and they make you question whether you're doing the right thing or if you're actually a good person. If they say things like,
"Yeah, what would you do with your wife? Do you tell her about your feels?" To be honest, not all of them. And if I do, I tend to always frame it in a hopeful way. I don't, if I'm feeling despondent or hopeless, she's not the person that I talk to. I go talk to the guys. It's just not something that is useful for her to know about, or it doesn't help her in any way. It doesn't help me for her to know it. It's not something that she really has a way to help me change or fix. It's not like she can change the things that are making me feel that way. And if I need to get it out and talk about it, I will go to the boys. So I'll tell her about some things that I'm feeling. But yeah, it's, you know, I'm generally, I frame it in a way that won't discourage her. We'll put it that way.
Don't you think you're overreacting a little, or it wasn't even a big deal? You're just being emotional. They're being passive aggressive. Again,
Yeah, I definitely can't address those feelings the way your guy friends can. Yeah. Yeah, the guys can speak to it differently and more actively as well. So it's a different thing.
this is not really something that most people would regard as traditionally masculine, but it gets closer to the line of traditional masculinity in that it puts your needs and wants above everyone else's. Then there's the traditional masculine aggression. This is when you are direct and honest, even if it's inappropriate and severely hurts others, you attack and blame others, and you do whatever it is you want to do and get whatever you want to get at the expense of others. This type of masculine energy comes out when you haven't developed your emotional maturity and you were taught at a young age to dominate over.
I don't know who else is defining aggressiveness that way. I feel like that's just something he made up. Does anybody have any idea where he got that definition from? Because aggressiveness is just aggressiveness. It's not inherently selfish. He's painting it in all these terms that are inherently just about me and what I want.
You attack and blame others, and you do whatever it is you want to do and get whatever.
Yeah, I don't see that this is all of 100% of aggressiveness. These can be aggressive things, but this is not the all-encompassing. Like, assertiveness is a form of aggressiveness. Discipline oftentimes has to be aggressive. Rebuke is oftentimes aggressive. So was Jesus flipping the tables? Was that not aggressive? That seemed like a pretty aggressive behavior to me. Yeah. Somebody's... Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sometimes the Discord chat is just undefeated. We made it up. That's where it came from. Nice. Well done, Jonathan. You, I'm sure, are correct. Not really interested in what he has to say about the rest of that.
We want to feel like we're purposefully contributing and leading something. And if it's not anything outside of us, then at the very least, leading ourselves. It's why the vast majority of self-improvement channels...
Yeah, Jesus also called the Pharisees the sons of the devil. That is not nice at all. He said that they were whitewashed tombs full of dead things and bones, which was for them horribly offensive because dead things were unclean. So he's saying inside of you are unclean things. And that would have been disgustingly offensive to them. Like, that would have been maximally enraging. That was not nice. That was an aggressive thing to say. Yeah.
Are male dominated. And I think it explains why around 90% of the people who watch my videos are men. But I have to wonder how much of men's strong desire to want to be better, improve, and lead comes from a genuine innate desire, and how much of it is societal pressure telling us that that's what makes us a man. The problem with this is it's just not possible for every single person in the world to be a leader. Think about something like an army, corporation.
Well, if a man is a leader of his household, then it kind of is. If every man gets married to every woman tomorrow, you have, 4 billion leaders? You just do. So he's going to try to frame it in terms of, hey, let's take the hierarchy and actual authority out of leadership. Here, okay, interesting.
Or sports team. With these
unique justification for this. This is, I'm learning.
Run effectively if every single male on it was trying to lead and be seen as a leader? No, it wouldn't. Of course, men tend to have more qualities associated with being a good leader, like being assertive, protective, and providing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every single man is going to find themselves in a leadership role. This idea that we're all in a competition with one another to dominate one another, while as true as it might be in some areas of life, can do a lot of harm if a man is basing his entire worth on whether he's in a leadership role or not. And traditional masculinity assumes that a truly worthy masculine man is leading an entire tribe of individuals, as providing for an...
If every man gets married to every woman, we would have the world's record for largest polycule. I didn't think of that. That's you come on. You know what I mean.
Your family.
Why you gotta do that to me?
CEO or entrepreneur. Until you achieve one or more of these things, then you cannot be considered a man. Again, this is an outdated concept. You should want to improve yourself. You should want to stop distracting yourself with an abundance of comfort and pleasure and do challenging things that are instantly gratifying. But you don't need to dominate and be above everyone and everything around you. So,
right. Okay, there it is. There's a power premise. So being above people makes you dominant, and you don't need to dominate. What does leadership inherently have to do with domination? What does authority or exercising power have to do with domination? Jesus was dominant. He has dominion over everything. That's dominance. That it is not inherently evil. There's nothing bad about it. It is not. So he's framing it as though he's using it he's using the word dominant in the spot in the sentence where you would put a negative or a pejorative. And he's using his tone to suggest that it's a negative, right? Implying that it's this bad thing. But it's not. It's only bad if you accept the power premise. Power equals self-worth equals happiness. If you're having authority, you're dominating other people, and that's bad. Tinfoil hat time. I've been thinking about our goal here, listening to podcasts, and my gut is pointing me to many signs, more than I can list here, of eschatology. Perhaps birth rate drop is God-driven. Well, yeah, I would tend to... That's what's so tough to figure out. And what we'll probably have to spend a lot of time praying about is... I mean, if it's happening, God is either directly pushing it to happen or he's allowing it to happen, and he has a reason for that. And it's tough for us to tell in the spot we're in right now. Does God want us to just let it happen? Because it's a thing he's actively doing to this particular people? Because there were times like that where God said, hey, do not, don't pray for this people. I'm bringing my judgment on them. But there were also times where God's like, nope, you need to go reach out. You need to go try and pull them out. Call them to repent. So it's unclear to me which of those we're in right now.
What am I trying to get at with all this? The solution to this generation's current problems isn't to revert back to past tradition. It's to focus on being a good...
Yes, don't revert back to the things that worked for thousands of years. Do this thing that I, a YouTuber in the year of our Lord 20 and 20, I guess that would be 23, have invented with the help of ChatGPT. Using my own definitions for words that don't align with the commonly accepted definitions. Yeah. This is exactly the kind of thing that will get you a lot of love from a lot of people. But I don't know. I'm not on board with you, bud. I understand it, but I'm aware not to rely on my understanding alone, since God wants me to rely on him, which is understandable, yeah. Yep. Okay, done with that one. So, that is the narrative that's out there. Right? The guys are not masculine enough. You guys are just not being enough of a man. We're going to get a home screen reveal on the PC. It changes every few minutes. It's on shuffle. But yes, you guys are apparently not man enough. You aren't man enough to give of yourselves to individual women. I think that's what we've arrived at, is the way that it's being defined. Masculine men do whatever women want and give to women whatever they want. And y'all stopped doing that for individual women. You're still doing it for the collective every time you pay your taxes. But, and so many other things. You pay your tuition. Oftentimes when you pay your tithes, unfortunately, a lot of modern churches, you're supporting the collective of women, but that's not enough. We need to support individual women who do not want your leadership, your authority, your discipline, your accountability. They don't want any of that stuff to come with it. They don't want to perform any duties for you. They don't want to be your helper. They want you to serve them. Serving you, that would be evil. What is this, Handmaid's Tale? No, that's evil for a woman to serve a man? Her husband, even? Ew, gross. And all of this makes you guys unmasculine. But that's not all. So in our quest to find today the modern definition of masculinity, I came across some things like this. This is a woman writing down a list of things that makes a man feminine, not masculine enough. Man passenger princess, not offered to pay bills. There we go, receiving resources. Men asking to go 50-50 on a date, not opening a door. Drive a Honda or a Nissan. Don't have enough resources to give her. Men with car insurance or without? I'm unclear about that. Could go either way. Skincare. Yeah, so if you take care of your looks, we want you to be incredibly attractive, but also if you're incredibly attractive, it's really feminine and not very masculine. Low credit score. Okay, fine, whatever. Doing your eyebrows, again, same thing. Listening to music. Guys, did you know that if you listen to music, you're a woman? Listening to music is a woman behavior. It's just straight up. Don't do it. Game over. You're done. Men on TikTok, taking selfies, ordering appetizers. Somebody commented on this, even in the fog of war, a tank is still visible. She's not a small girl. Something tells me she loves ordering appetizers. She's all about the apps. So, I don't know. Not sure what that has to do with women behaviors. Not driving shift gear? Is she talking about a manual? Meaning you drive an automatic. Okay, I guess. Can't swim? Yeah, so not only are men not masculine enough and there is a masculinity crisis, the people who are defining masculinity have no idea what makes a person masculine or feminine. It really just is personal preferences and stuff that they want for themselves from men. And they're not getting it. Or it's icks. Things that they don't like. She built like a defensive tackle. Yeah, exactly. So we're going into this with a messed up definition of masculinity. Here's another one. This one's from Candace Owens from a few years ago. We trust her, right? We totally trust Candace Owens and everything she says.
Be feminine, right? That's something that...
No, she's talking about femininity, right? What does it mean for a woman to be feminine? How do we want to place bets on whether it looks basically exactly the same as a man?
It is incredible how they are trying to make femininity go out of style. And I want to be clear of what I'm talking about when I say be feminine, because that's not a call to go out and get Kylie Jenner lip injections.
I see thigh, I turn my eye. There was quite a bit of thigh under that dress or whatever.
So I'm going to be feminine. So I got butt implants. Like, that's not femininity. That to me is insecurity that you're reading on the internet. What I'm talking about when I say is to be feminine is to not follow these abhorrent trends of the left constantly telling you to make yourself ugly, as if that's somehow going to make you a more powerful person. We see this constantly, you know, Miley Cyrus shaves off her head and this person's dyeing her hair purple and blue and pink, mentioned. And I don't shave my armpits anymore because something about the patriarchy. I mean, that just is, you smell, it's gross, you know? You can shave your armpits, don't worry about the patriarchy.
Yeah, so she's framing it around power too. So it sounds as if she's trying to say, no, well, yeah, she's trying to speak into the power premise and say, ladies, that's not the path to power, right? Those blue hair aesthetics aren't the path to power, right? And I don't have the rest of this clip, but basically it sounds like she's saying, no, if you want to be a powerful woman, you got to go be a conservative girl boss like me. Show a little bit of thigh, not too much. Go out there on tour while you're pregnant instead of being at home supporting your husband and preparing to birth a child. No, go be powerful and have this mission. Right? So we have both messed up definitions of masculinity and femininity. And we're using those wildly inconsistent modern redefinitions of masculinity and then determining that there's a masculinity crisis. Yeah, Right. Great. That'll work. That'll help. Let's get a slight bit of a palate cleanser.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psychax, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short...
If this video is the one I'm thinking of, then this is actually a fairly concise and interesting definition of masculinity. Very quick, very simple. And I think he touches on the foundations of it.
Our talk is how to be a man. It's a simple question, and one that 100 years ago would be ludicrous to ask, because back then, everyone just sort of knew what the answer was. But here we are in modern times, characterized, among other things, by an identity crisis in men. How we got here is extremely complex, but here is where we are. Now, some forms of masculinity, such as machismo masculinity, are fairly complex. This is because they are performances of an unwritten etiquette with evolving rules and standards. However, this form of masculinity, as much as femininity, is essentially performative. Neither is a natural suite of behaviors, and each is an expression of a particular time and place. These forms of masculinity and femininity can be learned, and skillful execution of their respective suites of behaviors both express and confirm status in men and women. Many of the answers you'll hear on the internet to the question of how to be a man correspond with performative masculinity.
Right.
They are things that you can do to signify your man status with props, costumes, and postures.
Got it.
These could be things like grow a beard, lift heavy stuff, start a business, go fishing, go hunting, learn to start a fire, learn to drive a manual transmission, learn to seduce women, learn to fight, learn to shoot a gun, learn to grill a ribeye steak, talk knowledgeably about sports, drink beer and appreciate whiskey.
Yeah, it's all performative.
Now, I don't have a problem with any of those things. A lot of them sound fun and could prove beneficial to the individual in question. However, I do think that all of those responses suffer from defining masculinity essentially as a suite of behaviors, as a performance. Now, I have a different take on this question. As you can see, I'm not a guy who's very performatively masculine. I work with words in a very feminized profession. I've never played football or scaled a fish or roped a calf.
Yeah.
However, when it comes down to it, I'm extremely masculine. And this is because what it means to be a man is very simple and only marginally associated with what you do or what you look like. Are you ready? To be a man is very simple. You need only two things. You need a spine and you need some balls.
Hey guys, he said it, not me. Yeah, so be a stereotype copy? No. Yeah, so what he's saying is that that's actually not the way. So that's a part of it that will get you approval in our culture's eyes in that particular direction, right? People will perceive you to be masculine if you do the performatively masculine things, but that's not what makes you actually masculine. In order to be actually masculine, let's see what so he's saying spine and balls. Let's see how he describes these two things.
That's it. If you have a spine and you have some balls, then you're a man. And just so we're clear, I'm not talking literally. All humans have a spine and all males have balls. What I'm talking about is a spine and a pair figuratively. It's simple, but not necessarily easy. Let's talk about each one individually, shall we? First, what does it mean to have a spine? A spine means that you are willing to stand up. Anatomically, you need a spine to stand erect. Figuratively, you need a spine to stand up for what you believe to be true,
Decent metaphor.
Is, in your heart of hearts, who you are. And this, of course...
Well, it's not necessarily just about who you are. That's a part of it. Yeah, yes, we can so he's an atheist, secular psychologist guy, but I think there's some of what he's saying that you can translate into the Christian view. Some of it is you got to stand up for what God says you are and what God says other people are, what God says is right and what God says is wrong. It's not just about performatives. And I think that he's on the nose about that. It isn't just do these things and you will be a masculine man, right? By this definition, all these things that all these ladies are asking for are performative masculinity. The stuff Cole's talking about, that's performative masculinity. That's not the substance of masculinity. Women are boneless. Do you like your humans bone in or boneless? There's jokes in there that I probably would get kicked off YouTube for, so we won't go any farther with that. But the point is, yeah, everyone today is saying you are not masculine enough because you do not perform masculinity well enough today. But what he's describing is the actual power of masculinity. I stand up. I stand up for what's right. I stand up when people are doing evil. I hold people accountable for their behavior. I speak against lies. Right? I stand up for what God says I am, what he says you are, and what he says is right. And I stand against what he says is wrong. That's not performative at all. That is a position that you inhabit. That is a role that you inhabit that goes beyond just I'm a provider who flows resources to other people.
Of course, presupposes that you actually know what you believe to be true, and this ain't easy.
Yeah, my problem with this is that having a spine is not exclusive necessity to men. Femininity stands up for truth as well. I would say not quite in the same way. That isn't it in the way that God has constructed the household and the church. That isn't the woman's role. It is the man's job and the man's role to teach truth, to teach scripture authoritatively, and to administer doctrine. It's the men's role to administer discipline. It's the men's role to lead authoritatively. So it is a little different. That is a thing that does take a spine to do. You can't, in order to fulfill the roles that God has given to men specifically, and he's laid out and said, hey, this is what men do. You have to be able to stand firm when people push back against you. When the women of your church start henpecking you for saying something that they didn't like, you have to push back against it. It's different. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not inherent, but I don't think there's a way that we can define masculinity that is inherent to men as they are simply born, unless you want to just talk about biology. Being biologically male makes you masculine, but that doesn't really help either.
Most of the things in your head were put there by other people, and a lot of that stuff is total garbage. For most people, it takes years and years of patient self-study to learn what they believe to be true. So young guys get a pass here, though it's important to acknowledge that we tend to make their jobs harder by filling them up with so much.
Yeah, we see that when actually threatened, women bend more naturally to the opposing force than men do. That's the nature of how things are, yeah. Well, yeah, we see that in studies. Women naturally gravitate towards consensus rather than evidence when determining policy and truth. They do not risk standing up to a group of people that is wrong. They don't risk standing up to a group of people who's doing evil in the same way that men do. So in that sense, yeah, men do naturally have more measurable spine. If you define spine this way, yes, men measurably have more.
It's distracting nonsense to begin with. However, there are many older guys, men who I speak with on a regular basis, who don't know what their values are, don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to remind you, so many churches are afraid of male leadership. They replace head of household with servant leader, right? They flip the role. So the man is the servant. Yeah, and it's not, and the woman is the authoritative one. Right? Because if at any point she's not receiving the service she requires, well then she can say the man is the one that's outside of his role and she can correct him.
What they believe to be true, and consequently don't know who the fuck they are. And how are you going to stand up for something if you don't know what that something is?
Orion is a bit light on the loafers, so this is hilarious. Yeah, it is a little weird hearing it come from him, but man, I saw this and I was just like, I can't really argue. He's right. I mean, he ain't, you're not that guy, pal, but you're right.
Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, then please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message, because it's word-of-mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. And if you're liking what you're hearing, you can hit the super thanks button. It's those 3 little dots in the lower right-hand corner, and tip me in proportion to the value you believe you've received from this episode. I really appreciate your support. Now, having a spine also lets you know where you stand in relation to the universe. This is because as soon as you stand up, you cast a shadow, which situates you in a specific place between the heavens, literally the sun, and the earth, your immediate surroundings. Unless you are completely in line with the light, there is no way to avoid casting a shadow on this plane.
Sure.
Among other things, this means that as soon as you stand up, that is, as soon as you make it known who you are and what you believe in, you will attract an antithetical element in opposition to that, the shadow. People will disagree with you. People will disapprove of you. Some
Right.
people will despise you.
Yes.
And the taller you stand, the more some people will threaten, attack, and seek to destroy you.
Right.
This is part of the risk of standing up and having a spine.
Yes, and women are typically risk averse, which is why they don't stand up and display spine. They go along with consensus far more frequently than men do.
And this, of course, is why we rightly respect people who stand up for what is right.
That's also why they use consensus to get their will done. They don't like it when men have a spine, because when men have a spine, they oppose the consensus of the sisterhood. And it makes it very difficult for women to get their will done.
Despite the personal risk of doing so. What's strange is that
Not
the
all of
alternative
us.
to doing this,
Yeah.
that is remaining
No, yeah, again, I'm apologize if I use hyperboles. Not all women, in general. Not all women are going to try to drag you back down if you stand up against evil. Are you afraid of women? Oh, okay, I see who you are. I got it. Yes, no, we're not afraid of women. It's interesting that you jump to that, though. That sounds a little bit like a, that sounds like it might be a bit of some shaming. What would make me, oh, okay. I was gonna say, because, oh yeah, it's tough to tell sarcasm over the internet. As evidenced by my title, which is probably, I'm guessing that the title to some of these videos probably like select out a lot of low IQ people. Yeah. But yes, not all women are going to rabidly oppose you and try to bring you back down to their consensus. However, there is a large number of them who they have accepted their version of what is truth and what is justice, and like again, like these women we've been looking at early over here, who are saying masculinity is what I receive. Now, if you stand up against this and say, no, masculinity is partly about me being a provider and a protector, but it is also about you submitting to our leadership. Right? If you're going to expect stuff from us, then you have a duty and a role to perform as well. You're going to need to set your power aside. And there's a sisterhood out there that's going to try to drag you back down because they do not want to submit. They do not want to give up their power.
Spineless isn't all that great either. You go through life never really knowing who you are and what you believe in. Now, it often happens that some people do know who they are and do know what they believe in. However, they're never able to find their place in the world because they weren't willing to stand up from their hiding places and say, this is me.
Yep.
This is because doing so requires the second ingredient, a pair of balls. Having a pair means that you're willing to suffer the risk associated with being somebody, a specific individual with values and beliefs. It means putting your money where your mouth is. It means not giving a shit whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Not giving a shit whether you approve or disapprove of me.
Yeah.
Not giving a shit if you love or hate me. It means, if necessary...
Well, you care. Yeah, I mean, it's okay to care what people think of you. It's just that you don't give in, you don't act. That's what makes up the pair of balls. It's not that you feel no fear. It's that you don't let the fear control you. That's bravery. Yeah, he's swearing. He's using the bad words. He said the swears. Yeah, and that, I guess, is making him a more masculine man, and somehow... It is funny, he talks about how, like, performative masculinity isn't the substance of it, and then does some, like, performatively masculine things.
Putting your money, your relationships, your career, your status, your reputation, and even your life on the line in the service of what you believe to be true. If you have a spine with no balls, you spend your life hiding. Hiding from your friends, hiding from your women, and ultimately, hiding from yourself. While you technically can't do anything to earn respect, in the sense that you cannot make someone respect you, especially if, for whatever reason, they have a mind not to,
Sure.
you can significantly increase the probability that you will garner respect from other men and from women in general by having a spine and growing a pair. We respect those who are willing to hold the line and stand up for what they believe in, regardless of the consequences. Paradoxically, we like those who don't seem to care whether we like them or not. On the other hand, we typically have neither respect nor appreciation for those who do things so that we might like them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's recap. If you know who you are, what you believe to be true, and if you're willing to stand up and risk it all in the service of those beliefs, in the service of your mission, then congratulations, my friend, you are a man. You do not need to grow a beard. You do not need to hunt or care about football or drink everyone under the table or plow through half the women in town. You need a spine and some balls.
Sure.
If you have all the other things, but you don't have a spine and some balls, then you're not a man, in my opinion. And if you have none of those other things, but you do have a spine and some balls, then you're a full-fledged man. Hopefully, that clears some things up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with that. It's not just about the performance that you put on as a man. It's about the attitude that you bring with you, the position that you inhabit in the world. Are you a tower that's standing up and does not give in? Right? Do you cast that shadow? Also, again, can I point out my pause game before we move on to the next video? So, I think that is a much healthier version of masculinity. It's not just about giving. It's not just about performing. It's about identity. Who are you? Are you standing up for what's right in God's eyes? Are you standing up for who you are and who others are in Christ, what He is defining them as? Are you standing up for the truth according to what God says? Are you performing your mission here on earth that He's given you? And do you do that without bowing down to those who hate you for it? That's much more than just a performance. Yeah. So, I think we've arrived at a much better definition of masculinity. Now, according to this masculinity, do we still think that there's a masculinity crisis? How many of you guys out there feel that you would not oppose evil? That you would not oppose lies? That you would accept other people telling you who you are and what you have to do all the time? That you would accept their opinions of you? That you would not stand up against evil? Right? How many of you guys out there in the chat, in the world, feel like you do not fit this definition of masculinity? You don't have how many feel like you don't have a spine and you don't have balls? Yeah. Yeah, because I think by this definition, if we have large numbers of men who are saying, no, I don't have that kind of strength, I am not standing in that way, and I'm not following through on what I believe, I'm not following through on truth and justice and goodness, then yeah, maybe it is fair to say that we have a masculinity crisis. But if that is the crisis that we have, then we need to be calling for the right thing. Yeah, the government does evil all the time, too large to fight alone. Yeah. Maybe that's another piece of masculinity that we could consider. How far are you willing to go? Because the way he frames it is that you stand up alone. I don't necessarily know that that agrees with masculinity. I don't think masculinity inherently is an island, or you are a tower that is alone against the tide and against the world. Yeah. I think it's something that masculinity has a communal element to it as well. Men form groups and teams, and right, they form whole cohorts to go and fight battles together. Right? Team building is a very masculine thing. Think of the military. Right? It's men who do this, and they do it together, who will ultimately win against evil conglomerations like an evil government. I have the strength to follow. I have the strength to follow what I believe to be true. I've been banned enough for it. Yeah. Yeah. Jesus stood alone facing Calvary. I guess you could say that, but I don't think he asked us to do that same thing all the time, because he did gather up a group of disciples. He formed a team. Even when he sent them out into the world to preach, he gathered them into pairs. He rarely had any of them do anything by themselves. So I think Jesus did that because he was the only one who could do it, and it had to be him by himself. I don't know how much there is for us to glean as far as that part of his example, because that wasn't really how he instructed his followers to behave. He didn't really instruct them to go out by themselves very much. So, I don't know. Yeah, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had each other and God. Yeah. Plus, Jesus was the leader. More is required from that position. Yeah. The higher up you go in the fight, yes, the lonelier you will be. That is a part of the reality. If you're, boots on the ground grunt, you got your boys next to you. If you're the 5-star general up at the top, it's lonely. Yeah, spines are removed because we saw the ones whose spines were legally and emotionally torn out. Unfortunate. That's what I'm saying. If there's a crisis, could it be that it's just because we raised our boys to stop having that kind of spine? To raise them to stop standing up, and we raised them to stop following through, having balls. Because that was too powerful. We didn't like that power because the ladies couldn't keep up with it. And it was disaffecting them, making them unhappy. Even though women are much less happy today now that they have the power that they wanted, didn't actually help anything. Yeah. Aaron Olson, I see being masculine in how you act when doing the right thing actually costs you something. Are you willing to pay the price and sacrifice? Many men do not. Yeah. Well, then let's be clear. By this definition, who is more masculine man? The younger guys who are standing up and saying, nope, we're not taking the deal? We would like accountability for women too, not just for us. We would like women to perform a role, not just us. Right? Women's role is not just the receiver. Right? The men who are defying the power premise and saying, no, you don't need power to be happy. Are those the men who don't have the spine and the balls? Or is it the white knights who go along with what women want? Are those the ones who have the masculinity crisis? Because I see a lot of Christian men today who do not stand up to women. Does not matter what she says, doesn't matter what she wants. They give in. They angrily enforce the woman's will whenever any man defies it. So, yeah, they don't go again. And let's be clear, that doesn't take strength. That's easy. Going against men, bashing the younger guys, that's easy because you know they're not going to bite back at you. You know they're not going to do anything to you that you care about. But the women in your life, yeah, they can make you feel miserable, can't they? That sucks. You don't want anything to do with that. That takes a spine to stand up against. So yeah, I would say there is a masculinity crisis, but it's not the younger guys anywhere near as much as it's the older guys, because the younger guys are starting to put their foot down and say enough is enough. We're done with this. They're starting to, as we're seeing here with this community, starting to gather together and say, hey, fine. I'll do it myself. Build my own community. If you won't reform yours, if you won't stop worshiping women over there, fine, we'll go build our own communities where we're just not going to do that. We're going to put God first over here. That takes balls. That takes balls to say, hey, no, women don't need power to be happy. That takes a spine. I don't know. I see a lot more of that kind of strength from those younger guys who are saying, no, ladies, I don't care if I have to spend the rest of my life alone. I am not giving in to you. I am not just going to bankroll your self-serving lifestyle. I'm not going to be your servant your whole life while you do nothing, while you provide nothing or produce nothing. I'm not going to give in to your will all the time. If being with you means that I have to give up my will and just bow down to you, worship you, refuse to hold you accountable for anything, just allow you to sin however you want to, and allow myself to be blamed for it. If that's the deal, no, I would rather be alone. That takes balls. So I don't know. I think the guys have a decent amount of masculinity to them. I think it's the older guys who are afraid of women, afraid of what those ladies can do to them and will and do. Those guys struggle with masculinity. Prove me wrong. Right? Which group of guys is doing the harder thing? The guys that stand up to the popular narrative and say no. The guys who stand up to the henpecking and the hatred and scorn and shaming that they get from women? Or the ones who go the easy route? Go against the guys who are distant, and who can't hurt them? And they go along with the women in their lives who can hurt them. Which guys are being tougher? That's my question. The egregious Charles. Sometimes Jesus did indeed withdraw by himself to pray. Sometimes he fasted too, but he didn't do that to teach us not to eat, right? Yeah, there's a danger in looking at every single thing Jesus did and taking every bit of it literally. There's this ceremony that they have, I think it's down in Mexico or Central America somewhere, where they literally reenact the crucifixion. I don't think they don't actually crucify the guy, but they do a reenactment of it. Where, yeah, they dress a guy up and they do this thing where they parade a guy around on a cross and covered in blood and all that. Now, I don't think that's what Jesus was. I don't think that's the example he was trying to set. Right? I don't think he was literally saying, "Hey, you need to make sure that you get crucified literally at some point in your life." I think there's maybe some figurativeness there. Passion plays? Yeah, it's in Poland too. Maybe it's not a bad thing. I don't know. But I don't think the example is that you need to be killed, quite literally, in the same way as Jesus was. Right? Taking up your cross daily seems to be a figurative statement. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that. Yeah, the Easter reenactment stuff has always seemed wrong. A lot of churches do that. Have a guy play the role of Jesus and get hung up on a cross. I'm waiting for the sequel to Passion of the Christ. Yeah, it could be interesting. I don't know where he's going to go with that one. Yeah, Splatman. My point with the Jesus was alone bit is that you have to be willing to stand alone if you're going to stand at all. How much support did you have when you started all this crusade versus feminist churches? That's a good point. Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to do is find balance. I'm trying to find balance between the extreme of, no, guys have to just be lone wolves, and that's what masculinity is, versus, no, you should never be alone. I think there's times when, in places where you need both. Yeah. You need to be strong, both in the context of your own life personally as an individual, and you need to be strong in the context of a group together, brothers in your foxhole next to you. So, yeah. I did not have much of any support when I started this. I still don't even have relatively that much, to be honest. I mean, you guys are here, but it's not a huge group. So yeah, it does take some toughness to stand up and get something like that started. But ultimately, I think some of the other guys are right that yes, you can't stand up against giant groups by yourself. You can stand up against other individuals and small groups as an individual. But if you're going to stand up against a large group, the first thing you need to do is form a coalition and get a group together yourself. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, because I can't stand up against any of these alternate enemy coalitions myself. So anyways, we have a definition of femininity or masculinity that I think is a little healthy. But what if some of the, what about the other side of this equation? Could some of the problems we're seeing today be a lack of femininity? When I was doing research for today, I saw a lot of videos about how men are not masculine enough. There's just pages and pages and pages. I tried finding ones about how women aren't feminine enough, and it was pretty thin, and there was not a ton of viewership for the videos that I did pull up. So let's start by looking at a couple of things that might just give us the lay of the land as far as where women are today. There's this this account on X. By the way, follow me on X. I post some funny stuff every once in a while. This account, Why Women Get L's. Yeah. This is what you're up against, guys. This is what you're dealing with. Was pretty thin, unlike women. Got him. Yeah. Yeah, we may not be huge, but 226 people watching your live stream is far more than many people get. That's true. And that's just watching live. Yeah, many more will watch later. That's true. Submit is a 4-letter word to some. Very true. She was borderline Fed posting. I need a definition of Fed posting stat. I'm starting to see that more often, but I'm not sure that I know what that's about. Yeah, fair. At some point, you have to be the first man to stand up, and the first man is always alone. Yeah. 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 Anyways, let's look at a few L's that women are taking. Anyone else struggling to find attractive people to date? I'm not even talking about online dating, but I just don't see or meet attractive men at all. I'm not attracted to women romantically, but I feel like everywhere I go, there are beautiful, stylish women, but good-looking men are a rare sight. Okay. Yeah. The girl's weight is not the same as a guy's height. Sure. Yeah, right. I'm worried to click on this one about what I'm going to find. Can't wait for college. Never got another A after first semester year. Became an afters demon. I don't know what that means and I don't want to. Haven't been to class in 2 months. Negative $40 in my bank account. Got my fake taken with 3 weeks left of the semester. She's talking about her fake ID? Think about transferring every day I wake up. Been playing every frat guy I've ever talked to. Yeah. Femininity crisis, maybe? Crisis of the ladies? Oh, we're all in here IDing Fed posters. Yeah. Yeah. Women being dehydrated is a patriarchy problem. Yes, every problem is men's fault. Let's keep going. Yeah, nothing makes me feel more like an unlovable troll than when I've texted multiple people and they've all left me undelivered for hours. Yeah. So that's their fault. Patriarchy to blame somehow. Woman almost dies after learning what accountability is. Plus size canon events. I'm scared to click on it. Do I want to know what she has to say? Oh, yeah. They hate it when you don't serve total loser after becoming a mom. You mean when you stop being a whore after becoming a mom? But yes, we don't exactly, yeah. NYC woman reveals dinner date demands. Yeah, is this femininity? Is this femininity doing dancies on TikTok showing off your mom bod? I guess. What is she saying?
So there's another girl at my work named Emma, and to distinguish her from me, I found out that my coworkers call her Little Emma and Young Emma. What'd that mean? It means you fat. Nose ring? It means you fat. Okay. Wife would like to do her wife rant. Would we like to see a wife rant on femininity? Oh no. My stepsisters mentioned they think the Crown Prince of Denmark is ugly. This is from Discord. This, I guess, is the Crown Prince of Denmark. Guys, if that's the standard, yeah, I don't know how to help you. I don't know what to do. Nose ring theory never fails. Wait, what's this woman saying? I didn't see. I think you're drunk. No, I'm not. Wait, what the fuck?
When I find myself flirting with an ugly guy. Yeah, so would a feminine woman behave that way? Yeah, if she's ugly, we're all cooked, yeah. Ah, yes, this one. I love rage baiting men with the fact that I have 3 baby dads and 5 kids.
I believe you. I hear the words you're saying, and I believe you believe it's important.
Even through the fog of filter, many wrinkles can be seen. Woof. Yes, this is how a feminine woman behaves. My husband plays video games. Oh yeah, this is a fun little double standard. Pretty enough to see at 1 a.m. in the back seat, but not pretty enough for flowers. Yes. Yeah, also, Jedediah Bila pointed out, watch out for the knife fingers. You know, the long, nasty, fake nails like claws? Yeah. I wonder if that's a power play as well. Look at how dangerous I am. I'm so powerful. She sounds like I'm not fired, I quit. Yeah. Colleges are scaling back women's scholarships amid DEI scrutiny. Whoops. We went too far. Stop saying being a virgin is my biggest flex. Being a virgin adds nothing to your personality or soul. What was that? Being a virgin doesn't make you better than any other woman. Well, maybe it does.
Let me be angry about the virgin one, please.
Oh,
I hate that video.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's wife rant time. Yet another nose ring. The theory is undefeated. This will give me a chance to pee. I've been holding it in for a while. Okay, wife rant incoming.
Good evening. It's not evening. Hello. Okay. I wanted to come for this one. Because this one got me upset. I saw this on the thumbnail. Stop saying being a virgin is my biggest flex. Being a virgin adds nothing to your personality or soul. Being a virgin doesn't make you better than any other woman. It actually does. And I'll tell you why. Because when you're a virgin, you have a lot less emotional baggage. You're actually able to connect with your partner, your husband, much better than you would if you had abstained until you got married. I would know, because I was an idiot when it came to that kind of thing. And it was hard. It was really hard. And I regret it. And I'm going to tell, if we have any daughters, I'm going to tell them, it is not worth it whatsoever. Being a virgin does make you better. It makes you better mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So, quite frankly, whenever I see videos of women bragging about the fact that they are virgins, I'm like, good. Good for you. Because I said this in the last stream that I ranted on. There's this idea in society that when it comes to, sex, that you have to know exactly what the other person wants. Otherwise, how do you know if you're compatible or not? And then I said, well, no, you need to be adaptable when it comes to getting married and sexuality, because the whole point is for you to be able to develop a healthy sex life with your spouse. And then as changes happen in your marriage, you continue to adapt. That's the beauty of it. You change with one another. You adapt with one another. You can't do that if you're not a virgin, because then you have set expectations, usually unrealistic expectations that you place on your spouse, usually the women placing it on the men. And then they wonder why they're not happy, why the men don't want to have sex with them, when they're constantly like, oh, like, you don't perform as well as this ex, or you don't perform as well as my sex toy that I've been using for the last 5 years. Or you don't perform as well as a sex toy mixed with this ex because I did it. Like, all in all, this is just cope. This whole, being a virgin has nothing to do with your personality or soul. No, the reason why she's saying that is because she knows that it actually took away from her in a lot of ways. And this is, can I tell them that the thing I said to that one girl who called me a pick-me on Instagram, or do you think that's too crass?
You tell them.
Okay, so
you guys can handle crap.
Okay, so I said this is cope. What I was asking Matt if it was okay for me to tell you guys is there was a time where I was on Instagram and someone had a take like this, and I said something about it. I said, no, when a woman saves herself for marriage, it is a very good thing. It is a flex because it shows she has self-control. And frankly, it will make it easier for her to find a husband because he'll have more respect for her, because a lot of men are saving themselves for marriage. A lot of the times when women are complaining like, oh, all men do this, they're talking about secular men. like half the time. And it's just like, okay, why are you even at the clubs with these men anyway? Of course they're going to treat you terribly. They don't know the Lord, right? But anyway, not the point. The point is, I made a defense for men saying that, yeah, if a woman's a virgin, the guy's going to have a bit more respect for her. And I know that as somebody who wasn't a virgin when I got married. Me and Matt had to have a lot of really hard conversations about that, and it sucked. It was painful, especially for him. And so, now, like, I said my piece, and then this girl replied to me, and she said, "Have you been picked yet?" And because I'm petty, I replied with, "Yes, I have," with the ring emoji. I said, "Yeah, I've been picked, and the sex is incredible." She blocked me. So, yeah, anyway, so a lot of these women, it's just pure cope. Because as soon as like, again, I got blocked for that. So, if you block, you lose, exactly. But, yeah, anyway, I just wanted to say that. And real quick about femininity, too. On no place on planet Earth is it a sign of peak femininity for you to be promiscuous. A lot of women think that because they think, oh, the more men want me, the more I have value, which is a power thing, fundamentally, because they have power over men in terms of sex. But on no planet is that healthy in terms of femininity. Healthy femininity.
He sees the lights.
I know.
He
Healthy
likes
femininity
the
means
lights.
there's caring and nurturing and being agreeable and gentle and meek. And yes, even when I do need to be a little bit more firm, I still do it in a way that has grace, because this one, sometimes he be screaming at me. Sometimes he screams at me quite a bit.
He's got a lot to say.
He has a lot to say, but I'm not gonna lose my mind at him, because that's not very demure, not very mindful if I lose my temper with my baby, But anyways, that's the end of my rant.
When's his podcast?
Wanna say something?
2052.
You see something?
He's thinking.
Oh. He's so good. The Gunther speaks. Okay.
Yes.
Alrighty. See you guys. Thank you for listening to me again. The keyboard.
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. It's been fun. Effective Purpose Jr. Yeah. He's getting fat. Which is a good thing. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be. Mini-Matt, yeah, that's the whole idea. Effective die purpose. Yeah. Fresh dipe. He looked like he needed a fresh dipe. Not gonna lie. Anyways, healthy baby is a W. Yeah. Big W. Are you feeding him red pills? Well, I think he's a little too young to really understand how it works. But we'll get there. I do tell him the ways of the world. He just sort of looks at me and goes, ah, and then goes on about his day, kicking things. So, at this point, let's flip the script. So, we've established that yes, it's possible there's a masculinity crisis, depending on how you define masculinity. But since, there's not really much out there about femininity or the femininity crisis, could it be a diversion and a smokescreen away from a different problem? Could that problem be larger than a masculinity problem? So, yeah. Oh, Gabe, a dozen or so minutes behind. And how many of you in chat feel that you don't have a spine and you don't have balls? I'm recovering, but I would count myself among them because my natural healthy set were taken from me a decade ago. A full generation has been socially castrated for speaking genuine truth to power regarding feminism, wokeism, socialism, and the way Marxists always claim to, whilst having the backing of every possible institution. Yeah. It's this weird mix of things that we have right now. We got a bunch of guys who they're trying their best to stand up to it, but their whole lives they've been nerfed. They've had the actual truth of masculinity surgically removed from them. That strength, that power of it has been taken from them. Right? They've had it beaten out of them. They've been punished for it their whole lives. So, but then again, you have these guys who are in a space where that was their upbringing, but they're healing from it, and now they're starting to push back. And I would count most of you guys as those guys. Like, even if you look at yourself and say, I don't feel like I'm there, I don't feel like I have that strength, like the fact that you're engaging with this, and many of you have been willing to share it, that takes some strength. Because these are not popular ideas. So, yeah. I'd give yourselves a little bit of credit if you're here and you're engaging with the problems. But yeah, again, there's probably more of a masculinity crisis on the side of the henpecked cucks who are simping for women and doing their bidding without thinking. That sounds like a crisis of masculinity to me. But anyways, we've gotten a pretty good look at the masculinity crisis. I'll let you guys decide for yourselves what's going on out there. Whether you think there's a crisis, who's bearing the brunt of it, and all of that. I'll let you guys come to your own conclusions. But I want us to consider as well, is there a femininity crisis? This is one of the only videos I could find on the topic. I only found a couple. This is, even then, this one only got 8K views. Oh, wait, was it? Okay, no, so this one's just some examples of what could be a loss of femininity for women.
Nothing to a man's life.
So let's
I bring
see.
Nothing to the table. I was married for 22 years.
Yeah, she's proud that she brings nothing to the table.
Left it all there. I will not cook for you any night of your life. You have kids? Great. Can we pretend like it's flowers in the attic? I don't want to see them or hear them. Got a mom? I don't want to meet her. I'm not doing your laundry. I'm not cleaning up. I'm definitely not digging you out of debt.
I don't want to give you squat. I gave to another guy for 22 years. He got the best of me. I'm done giving. But I definitely still want something from you.
Cheering you on in life. You're in a
Christianity crisis? Yeah. Yeah, buy a dog, stay alone. Yeah, Christianity crisis. That's a big part of it. If both men and women truly accepted and followed Christ and his way, the way that it's actually written in scripture without reinterpreting it to make it appease feminism and the power premise. If you held both sexes accountable to those standards laid down in scripture and to obedience to God's word. Yeah, you'd fix a lot. Espen, you should check out Nolan Reed, MGTOW, possibly Black Pill, but with style. Interesting. Yeah. Well, I'll have to add him to the list.
Adult, cheer for yourself. I did all that and more for decades. I have nothing left to give. Quite honestly.
Yeah. They love doing nothing yet call us lazy when we don't do what they want all the time. Yeah, and she's saying, I have nothing left to give. Well, have you considered that maybe men aren't giving to you because they have nothing left to give? The entirety of our state structures and cultural structures and education structures, all of that is designed to extract from men and take from them. Everything is already set up to take. All men know their whole lives is being taken from. Could it be that men are checking out because they've had enough and they don't have any more to give. But no, you, modern woman,
Honestly, I probably
are the one
shouldn't have
who,
given it at all to begin with. Because look where it got me.
Yeah.
Divorced. This stage in the game.
yeah, as if the divorce was just something that happened to her and she's a victim. Schrodinger's feminist, empowered to do the divorce, but always the victim anyway.
Post-divorce, adult children. No man wants me. I'm nothing more than just a warm body. That's it. Just over there in the corner.
Yeah, maybe they will. Do you consider that maybe they don't want you because you have nothing to offer? You're not willing to give them anything, right? I don't believe in nothing left to give. Yeah, there's no such thing. If you're still alive, then you have some, and you can move. You have something you can give. I'm just a warm body. I'm just an object. I'm such a victim of my circumstances. I made no choices that got me here. Yeah, of course guys aren't going to want you if you offer them nothing.
Warm body. I don't ask for anything, and I give even less than I ask for. So really, what's the point? We can just look at each other, take up space in the same house. The only real benefit I see is sort of like a in-person life alert. You know, if I see you go down, I'll call 911.
Some women...
She's giving, I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas energy. That's funny. Yeah, there's nothing I want to give to a person who would make a bad spouse. Victim, 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 yeah. Yeah, if you act like a warm body, you will be treated as one. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Isaiah 3. Yeah, Isaiah 3. You're right. We have looked at it before, but maybe we should look at it again. Not the King James version. I don't really want the NIV either. Whatever. Yep. See now, the Lord Almighty is about to take from Jerusalem and Judah both supply and support, all supplies of food and all supplies of water. The hero and the warrior, the judge and the prophet, diviner and the elder, the captain of 50 and the man of rank, the counselor, the skilled craftsman, the clever enchanter. I will make mere youths their officials, and children rule over them. People will oppress each other. I feel like this isn't quite the right way. This isn't quite the best translation. This isn't how I remember it. Yeah, I will make youths their leaders, and unstable rulers will govern them. The people will oppress one another, man against man, neighbor against neighbor. Young will act arrogantly towards the old, the worthless towards the honorable. A man will even seize his brother in his house, saying, "You have a cloak, you be our leader. He is a heap of rubble. This heap of rubble will be under your control. On that day, he will cry out, saying, I'm not a healer. I don't even have food or clothing in my house. Don't make me the leader of the people." Right, yeah, see, like, it's interesting that it's not, these people are not acting like power is actually that great. It's not a good, they don't want it, especially when things are bad. You want power when times are good, right? Yeah, NASB 95. NASB is good. I like it. I also like the CSB. I find it generally readable and generally acceptable as a translation. It's easy reading. I find it easier than ESV. People want means, not responsibility. Yes, exactly. They want power. Yeah. Yeah, they want power until consequences show up. Exactly. Let's see. Yeah, Jerusalem's woman judged. The Lord also says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, walking with their heads held high and seductive eyes, prancing along, jingling their ankle bracelets, the Lord will put scabs on their heads of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will shave their foreheads bare. On that day, the Lord will strip their finery, ankle bracelets, headbands, crescents, pendants, bracelets, veils, headdresses, ankle jewelry, sashes, perfume bottles, amulets, signet rings, nose rings. Nose ring theory confirmed and biblical? Chat's winning today. Festive robes, capes, cloaks, purses, garments, linen cloths, turbans, and shawls. Man, these women sound a lot more modest, and they're still getting judged. They're actually wearing things. Instead of perfume, there will be a stench. Instead of a belt, a rope. Instead of beauty, and instead of beautifully styled hair, baldness. Instead of fine clothes, sackcloth. Instead of beauty, branding. Your men will fall by the sword, your warriors in battle. Then her gates will lament and mourn. Deserted, she will sit on the ground. Yeah. Yeah. Youths will oppress my people, and women will rule over them. My people, your leaders mislead you, of course. They confuse your direction and paths. That's an interesting piece of it as well. It was considered a judgment for women or children to be rulers. It was never considered a good thing. Never has been considered good. Not a chapter they study at women's Bible studies. Nope. This one completely denies the notion that power has any inherent or intrinsic value for a person. Even the men don't want it in this scenario. Based God. Yeah. Turns out he was the original chud. Oh, I feel like I'm going to get struck down by lightning for saying that. I hope you guys know what I mean. I'm not using it as a pejorative. It is the year of the chud, after all. The chuds are winning. Perhaps because God is one of us. I don't know. I'm joking. Yeah, women rule, derogatory. Jesus is the original Chad, yeah. Yeah. Of course, yeah. Yeah, of course not. All it does is increase your responsibilities and the consequences for a mistake. Yeah. Sure, it does increase your agency and your ability to get things that you want. Yeah, sure, there are people who can misuse it, use it for selfish purposes to get their will done. But it is by no means something that... It is not something that confers value to a person inherently. It is not something that makes a person happier inherently. In fact, that's rarely ever seen to be the case, especially not in Scripture. So yeah, the men didn't want it. And it was considered a judgment if women ruled over you. And then the women themselves are judged. What Bible verse is this? This is Isaiah chapter 3. So, yeah, check that out.
Breakups or divorce and come out emotionally shut down. Years of marriage turns into bitterness, and instead of resolving their internal problems, they decide they're done caring altogether. They stop wanting to contribute, stop wanting to support anyone, and stop wanting to love. What starts as self-protection slowly becomes emotional withdrawal. In modern dating, some women see not caring as strength or independence, but in reality, it leads to resentment. She should not date anybody until she learns to overcome her hard-heartedness.
True.
Leave her. She's lost it.
People with babies always say
good.
things like, nothing is as amazing as when you...
I looked back at the screen for a bit of a jump scare.
You see your baby laugh and smile. Nothing completes you like that. And I'm like, is the bar that low? Is the bar really that low? All the baby has to do is laugh and smile. That's not even that impressive. That's not impressive. I'm sorry.
Woman, you would have been a Star Wars villain 30 years ago. Like, you look like a Clone Wars villain, like 25 years ago. That's a Transformer, yeah. How would she know it? Yeah.
Sorry, it's not. Like, you know what would be impressive? You know what would be awesome? Is if the baby could recite the entire works of William Shakespeare front to back. If the baby could recite the entire Quran in Arabic. That would be impressive.
Super impressive, yeah.
But the bar is that low, huh? All they have to do
I'll have you know, Gunnar said something incredibly profound earlier. He did. Much more profound than this.
is smile.
She does
and
look like a
laugh at
jump
you.
scare.
That's what bullies do. That's what elementary school bullies do when they call you fat. So
some women have lost their
Logic.
sense of nurturing and connection to new life.
Yeah, so not only are women performatively masculine, ruining their looks with like the nastiest tattoos in the nastiest places and mega, like, unnecessary lip filler, and it looks like she's had some kind of facial reconstruction surgery done to make her look more masculine. This is a very angular looking person. Either that or she's just doing her makeup that way. There's a lot of caked on makeup there. And she's got like the, hair off the side of the head / shaved side of head kind of vibe going. It's like all the most masculine thing.
Previous generations felt instinct.
So she's doing both she's being performatively masculine and like she's trying to take on the masculine, disagreeable status.
Awe toward babies, birth, and family. Some modern women now dismiss those feelings entirely. Instead of seeing the beauty and meaning in a newborn smile, they reduce it to something trivial or unimpressive.
Right, and so in the same way that the male role is one of power and leadership and standing up for what's right, the female role is to do something that only women can do, and that is keep the human race going, have children. And she's absolutely spitting on it. This is not an uncommon take. Again, there's that stat that, women rank having children generally as, on the list of 10 things that was asked, it was like down at like 7 or 8 on average, while men rated at the top.
This shift didn't happen by accident. Cultural changes, career-first world that struggles to value connection, family, and love.
They're lost!
Why is dating so hard? Got asked on a date the other day. He says to me, do you want to go for a date on Sunday? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm not doing anything on Sunday. He goes, oh, if you're spontaneous, we could go for a date tonight. And I'm thinking, absolutely wonderful. My fridge consists of old cheese strings and some gone off milk. Why wouldn't I want to go on a date tonight? I'm nothing if not spontaneous. Otherwise, I'm sat at home watching Homeland on repeat. So that's fine. We could say, we're going on a date tonight. It's 4 o'clock. I'm getting myself ready. He turns around and goes, oh, I think tonight's too soon. Don't want to make a bad first impression. How about we go on a date tomorrow? And I'm thinking, well, that was a bad first impression. Could you just cancel the first date? But fine. Give you the benefit of the doubt. We'll do it tomorrow. Next day, he messages me midday and he goes, oh, just to let you know, plenty of notice. I can't make the date tonight. Something's miraculously come up. So maybe we could do next week. And I'm thinking, well, initially you offered me Sunday and now you're telling me that we couldn't do yesterday and now we can't do today and now you're offering me next week. And I'm thinking, no, good sir.
CHUD stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dweller. I like it. Yeah, I don't think by that definition, I don't think we're CHUDs. But I think by the common usage of it, which is basically just any man who is disapproved of by women. I think God qualifies as a CHUD by that definition. And so do we, for sure. Fun Griff. A good number of modern women apparently learned to do makeup from trans men. Or, like James Charles, I guess. That would explain why they do the makeup that makes them look more masculine. Interesting. Yeah, they're getting it from makeup tutorials done by men. Does that mean that men are better than women? Even at makeup? I know there's a list of things that men are just better at than women. But are there things like makeup on the list as well? Tonight at 7.
You're gone. You're in the bin. I'm not making another plan with you. I'm a lady with very little time. Disregard the Homeland statement. But actually, I can't make another plan with you because you're clearly not consistent. And actually, third time is sometimes just not the charm.
Let's flip this around for a moment and look at what this situation says about her. The moment plans changed, she decided he was inconsistent and wrote him off completely. But what if it wasn't a lack of interest? What if it was real obligations, timing issues, or something genuinely out of his control?
Could have been. I don't have as big of an issue with this girl because at least she did try a couple of times with him. Most women, if you don't go the first time, they're like, well, if you're not going to prioritize me that much, I'm out of here. So yeah, she's not the worst. Let's see what's next.
Pretty boys. Who told you?
Another trans makeup looking woman.
It is appropriate to be sending selfies to someone that you've never met before of you in bed saying bed hair. It's just like a photo of you, like.
What does this have to do with anything?
Like, who told you that's appropriate? Like, no context. No context. Like, do you think I'm that stupid as well to think that you're just sending that to me? Like, I pray to God that you are, because I really hope that you're not sending that to multiple women, because that would just be fucking embarrassing. But, like, what happened to you?
So aggressive.
That you feel like you need to be complimented by a woman you've never met before and send her a selfie of you.
Yeah, it's a good point. Homegirl, you aren't dressed. What do you mean? Do you think this is appropriate? Yeah, there's not much appropriateness going on right now. She's getting ready to completely fakeify her face. Girl, that's a freaking nightgown. You posted this online. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think it's going to improve at all. Yeah, let's see here. Hey Matt, hope you're doing well. Would appreciate your response on some questions I have on Discord when you get a chance. Yeah, I'll take a look at those afterwards. But yeah, good to see you, man. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think this video is going to improve at all. But yeah, just the general attitude of I'm going to turn on the camera without really much modesty to speak of. And I'm going to start complaining and just being aggressive. And that makes me so feminine. No, yeah, is there really much femininity coming out of the ladies these days? These British women are more feminist than American women? Yeah. They did go faster than we did on a lot of this stuff. But they're also crashing and burning a lot harder and faster than we are. You think it's bad over here, it's awful over there.
That's exhausted.
That's quiet too. I may have to turn this up. But yeah, this video came through on my feed. Hollywood hates femininity. Because could we maybe posit that there is a source for all of this behavior? You know, the chudly woman behaviors. You know, absolute Brad behavior coming from the ladies today. Could there be a root cause for it? Yeah, Satan. And what is Hollywood if not his mouthpiece? Let's see what this video has to say.
Characters like this, women who are stoic or angry, narcissistic and entitled, vulgar and crass.
Yep.
Every time I turn on the television, I am confronted with these stoic, enraged women whose anger has no direct focus, but is instead aimed in a broad beam at everyone and everything around them, regardless of outside motives. Am I the only one that's tired of seeing women bulldoze the men in their lives for the sake of political or social cred, calling themselves independent, modern women who don't need men, but who quite often want to be them by just...
If that's Galadriel, I'm rooting for Sauron. Yeah, it's not cred, though, that they're after. It's power.
Associating themselves with anything that is traditionally female. I've made so many videos on the specific things that are wrong with female characters these days, but today I want to talk about something that female characters are not doing, and why I would very much like for those things to come back. Not only were those things lovely to see, they were wildly entertaining, enriching for the characters, and allowed for thoughtful discussion about narratives that are otherwise being disregarded today. There are many things about modern female characters that lack the grace and staying power of the women of 8.
I am very curious how she's going to define feminism or femininity. Because she's saying that she doesn't like what's going on. But again, we had similar problems earlier where nobody could really define masculinity outside of what other people get from men. So let's see how she defines femininity.
Just passed. But here are just a few of those reasons. I think one of the key differences between women in Hollywood...
What's your live stream schedule? Usually Tuesdays and Saturdays at noon Pacific. I will not be on this Saturday because I have to go into work. That's going to happen a bit more often now. So the Saturday one is going to be kind of up in the air, but Tuesdays at noon is generally going to be pretty firm.
Today, and those women of the past, is the grace and beauty that the latter seems to have in spades, and that female characters today simply lack. Audrey Hepburn, Grace Kelly, Marilyn Monroe, and many others had an inner and outer beauty that was subtle, but utterly captivating to watch.
Inner and outer beauty. Okay, so that's our first clue. So it's not just about aesthetics that she's talking about. She's referencing some sort of inner beauty in terms of their behavior as well. So that's a good sign.
Smiles and soft voices and beautiful clothes, drawing the eye irrevocably to them whenever they entered a room. No skin had to be shown, There were no cringe
The
dance
feminists
moves.
got to
There
him.
was no shouting. These women simply embodied a beauty
Yeah.
that did not have to be yelled about over and over again or demanded attention from. And yet they were the most powerful people on camera because they commanded.
They were the most powerful people on camera. Right. I'm sorry, people. You cannot defeat this while still agreeing with the power premise. You cannot defeat all of this girl bossery that you hate while still agreeing that women need to have power to be happy. Most powerful people on camera. There we have it. Yep. Yeah, inner beauty. Yeah, where have I heard that before? 1 Peter 3, exactly. Yeah. But again, even when you discuss Christian beauty, they will talk about it in terms of power, like Josh Howardson in that one sermon that we looked at a while back, where he's talking about, ladies, there's a power in your femininity, and you know it, right? You can't stop this girl bossery without defeating the power premise first. It will always lead here. It has to. Just saying, hey, ladies, there's power in your beauty and your presence and your sweetness will never be enough, because this kind of power is always less effective and it's less efficacious than men's power. Meaning there will always be a power imbalance. Always. So if you just say, hey, ladies, you need to just lean into your feminine beauty and make that your power and be satisfied with the power you get from that, women will say, no, it's not enough. Sure, there's an influence we have through our beauty because men want our beauty, but it's not the same as being able to enforce. Right? There's a power that comes from influence. You can have that with beauty, but there's a power that comes from force. Men are the ones who enforce the rule of the land. And that is what ultimately determines what happens and what doesn't. And so because men exist in a state of power that women cannot have, because they have greater force potential and always will, anytime you say to women, you need to have power in order to be happy, you acknowledge the premise at all, they will never be content with this kind of power, because it will always be imbalanced. It will always be less than the power that men have. And they will always go, yeah, but this feminine power, it's just not enough. It doesn't measure up to men's power. And so I can't be as happy as the men. Sure, if I might be, I might have some contentment, but it's not the same. Men get to have more power with their masculinity over there. That's not fair. I want power. I want real power. I want men's power. And they will naturally land back here, taking power away from men. On screen, on their TikToks, on your YouTube feed, in your churches, everywhere. They will say, no, I am not content with the little pittances of power that you give me through my femininity. I need men's power. Not only that, it will always lead to the reparations premise as well. You men had all that power for all that time, and it's been imbalanced, and you now owe us a debt. So now we need to have more than you for thousands of years in order to balance the scales. It will always lead there. Yeah. Canada criminalized male headship, and I haven't seen anyone comment about it. Have you seen Bill C-9, 2025? No. I haven't, but that is deeply concerning. Do we need to look this up?
Things to come.
I think we get where this video is going. C9 bill, officially named the Combating Hate Act. And there you go. This lack of power that women have compared to men will always be framed as hate. Because again, if you acknowledge the premise that women need power to be happy, they will always eventually notice that men have more. Oh, C16, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, pattern of coercive or controlling conduct. Yeah. But yeah, same idea. But okay, but this actually does bring up a good point. That's a good miss. That's a healthy miss, because this is a thing that you will find. You will always find, how often? How often do you find in your experiences that power is labeled as hate when men wield it? It's hate speech for a man to say that the wife should submit to her husband. Yeah, C9 would still consider headship a problem. Yeah, they all would. Yeah, yeah. They'll call it hate, and they'll justify that by saying, well, because you owe us power, because you had power, and that's what makes a person valuable and happy. If you don't give us power, then you hate us. You're imbalancing the scales against us. That is a demeaning, that is a destructive thing to do to us. It's harmful to our life experience, therefore it is hate. For you as a man to want authority or to exercise it. Yeah. Very briefly, I would mention looking at Bill C-16, section blah, blah, blah. Let's see if we can search for just that. I don't trust what the AI says. Proposed section, blah, 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 targets coercive and controlling conduct in intimate partner relationships. Subsection 2C and its related clauses specifically outline contextual circumstances or specific psychological tactics such as manipulation of vulnerabilities or threatening self-harm and self-deleting that can form part of an abusive pattern. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I really want Pearl to do a sign saying husbands should obey their wives and see what churchgoers say about that. Yeah, that would be a fun experiment. Maybe I should do that. I should go to my church, see if I can get kicked out. And lastly, this is it, guys. This is the only other video I could find about a sort of, femininity crisis or femininity dearth from Thinkified. It's only got 1.8K views 10 months ago. So this is not something that's in public consciousness. This isn't something people are talking about. As far as I can tell, maybe I'm missing it and Grok couldn't help me find it. I'm just not seeing that people are considering it. So yeah, where's the conversation about the other side of the equation? Are women bringing femininity to the table for men? Yeah, does this apply to both parties? You're talking about C-16. Yeah. Once it reaches the court level, probably not.
Hey man, let's be real. When was the last time you saw a truly feminine woman? Not just a woman who wears makeup, puts on a dress, or posts a picture with a fake soft smile, but a woman who embodies actual femininity. A woman who moves with grace, nurtures with warmth, and finds strength in gentleness instead of hostility. It feels rare, almost extinct, doesn't it? That's because modern society has done everything it can to erase femininity, to replace it with hardness, competition, and ego. And now what we're left with is a world where feminine women, real feminine women, barely exist anymore. Feminine energy is supposed to complement masculinity. It's supposed to be about softness, intuition, nurturing, vulnerability, and emotional depth. But when women are constantly told to be strong, independent, and never need a man, they start adopting masculine traits out of survival or ego, and slowly lose touch with what makes them feminine. The modern woman has been taught that femininity is weakness, that leaning into softness makes her powerless, and so she resists it. She wears strength like armor, but it's not natural. it's a mask, and deep down she's tired, but society won't allow her to rest into her true feminine self anymore. You see it everywhere. Women competing with men, trying to outdo them, trying to prove they can dominate the same spaces, instead of cultivating their own. They measure themselves by careers, money, and status, not by connection,
Matt, do you think it's worth broaching this topic with female peers in my graduate counseling program? Some of my peers may be receptive, others not so much. The cohort is overwhelmingly female. It was very much the same when I was in counseling school, or psychology school, sorry. It's worth a shot. It's worth trying. Gotta be careful, because if they get a whiff that, you know, that something is not to their liking, the sisterhood could link arms. But yeah, I would tread carefully. Yeah, I mean, it depends how much you care, right? Because the chances are, if it goes really, really badly, they could, you know, there's a possibility they could try to get you removed from the program, stuff like that, or they could just ruin your time there. How much do you care about those consequences? That's the only thing that I would say is, if they end up not liking what you say, they could try to punish you for it. You know, we just talked about, you know, guys being able to stand up and have balls, and that's what masculinity is. But yeah, I think that gotta also be wise and count the cost to standing up and having balls. So yeah, I would say if you can and you're okay with the risk, then yes, do it.
Family or inner peace. And while there's nothing wrong with ambition, the problem arises when ambition replaces femininity, because a woman who lives entirely in her masculine energy becomes hardened, restless, and unfulfilled. She may win in her career, she may collect material success, but when it comes to relationships, she struggles, because men don't want another competitor at home.
No.
Men crave the balance of femininity, not a mirror.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to come home and have to handle someone. We don't want to have to compete with that person's pursuit or her mission. That's not appealing to us.
Image of themselves.
We're not intimidated by it. We're annoyed by it. There's a big difference.
The tragedy is that many women don't even realize they've been programmed. They think rejecting femininity makes them strong, but in reality, it robs them of what makes them truly powerful. Feminine power is not about controlling through force, but about influence, intuition, and softness. Yeah. A feminine woman doesn't have to demand respect. It's drawn to her naturally because she inspires peace and warmth.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to manipulate her presence. Alone calms a man's storm. But now, you barely see that. Instead, you see women addicted to chaos, drama, attention, and proving themselves. That's not femininity. That's insecurity dressed in rebellion.
Yep.
And here's the real dark truth. Because women have abandoned femininity, men are abandoning relationships. Men don't want to fight battles at work, only to come home and fight more battles with the person who's supposed to bring them peace. Men don't want to constantly defend, prove, or argue with women who mistake confrontation for strength. And so, men are walking away. Not because they hate women, but because the thing they once looked for in women, femininity, softness, nurture, doesn't exist in the way it used to.
Yeah, and trust as well. Can you trust women to remain on that path? And to be that feminine woman who's looking out for him, who's being that support? This is what a helper looks like. Yeah, I think he's hitting the nail on the head. I think he's describing it. But how many women offer that today? Why does the voice sound AI? It probably is AI. This could be just a faceless channel. It's half an hour of this. I don't know if we're gonna watch the whole thing, but so far he's hitting some pretty good points. Yeah, I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna put this in the chat. You guys can check this out if you want to later. But yeah, because it's long. I don't think we want to watch the whole thing. But by this definition of femininity, because I thought this was a really good definition of it. Sort of warmth, support, nurturing. By that definition, do we have a femininity crisis? We started our journey today with women claiming that men they're unmasculine today because they're not giving. They're not taking on the project of giving to a woman constantly. And that makes them unmasculine. And so we have this masculinity crisis. But what if what's going on is that we actually have a femininity crisis? And guys aren't doing the things you want them to Because there's no reward on the other side of it. There's no balancing person. There's no balancing character on the other side of it. They end up stepping into a place where the woman has more masculine energy. She has more masculine authority and power. Just by default, she's combative and frustrating, competitive, insecure. She's prickly and cold instead of warm and caring. Again, the three things: risk, cost, reward. It's a high risk for men. There's no getting around that today. It's a high cost. These women ask for a ton. And there's not much of this on offer as a reward. So, if anyone says to you in the future that there's a masculinity crisis, what should we say to them? How should we respond? Yes, there is a masculinity crisis, and that is the only problem. Do not keep asking questions. Do not consider other possibilities. Or is it possible that there's something going on with men? Men can do better. Men can do more. We're not perfect. We're not going to claim that we are. But could it be that these women this guy is describing are just, they're not out there. This is not that. And this is what's more common, right? These women, ones out here doing this kind of stuff. L after L after L. Yeah, screw all of this. I want my husband back. Yeah. Is my whole lose 500 people? I don't want it. Ew. From the ages of 18 to 19? Oh, she worked in a brothel. Ew. By the way, this is just one Twitter account. And it's just constant stuff. The most egregious stuff. Behaviors. And that these women get away with. I make men submit a 500-word essay to date me. Do not waste my time. There's job applications that aren't that difficult. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So there's a lot of this out there. We see it. We're surrounded by it. Ain't a lot of this. So, I tend to think that a lot of the talk about the masculinity crisis and how feminine men are, it's just diversions. It's women who are frustrated that they didn't get picked. They're frustrated that the men that are attracted to them, or that they're attracted to, they're good enough for them, didn't pick them. It's much easier to call them a coward than to admit that you're just out there being a boss babe that men don't find desirable. So, yeah, guys can do better. There's room for growth. There's room for improvement. And I think each and every one of you should try to be the best you can. But we cannot pretend that women are doing so well today that there's no room for improvement over there. I think it's hard to argue that you need less improvement from women than you do from men. In fact, I think the opposite. I mean, it's the opposite is true. Because women receive so little accountability and have so few consequences and have the world has been made so soft and easy for them, they have drifted. The average woman has drifted farther than the average man. Yeah, I can't make that sale. Should we let it play out? There's beauty in the desert. Yeah. I would encourage you guys to try to find that beauty in the desert. I do want to do a stream about, is there are there any women out there left who do provide this kind of femininity and support? I mean, obviously they do exist. Some of us guys are still getting married. I'm married. And yeah, family court is ruinous. Yeah, it's very, very dangerous for guys. There's got to be something there that's worth taking that huge risk. And I think that some guys can find that. And I think if you do find it, yeah, go for it. But let's not pretend that there's just an infinite supply of high quality women out there. Highly feminine women. Let's not pretend that this is a man side issue. Let's not pretend like this is anything other than a supply side issue. They're there, but they're hard to find. Majority of women are brainwashed, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the question is not if these feminine women exist. By sheer mathematics, they do. The question is there enough to meet the demand? That, I think there's a resounding no to. And so, yeah, when we're having conversations about this, if you hear people bringing up the masculinity crisis, I would say, be masculine, have a spine, have balls, and stand up. Push back and say, you know what? We can talk about that. But first, let's talk about the femininity crisis. Let's talk about the bigger problem. Let's talk about the femisphere, which is objectively bigger than the manosphere and more influential, right? If you want to look at who's causing who to hate who. Yeah, let's look at the bigger problem. Let's rank, order, and prioritize our problems by their size and their impact. I think the lack of femininity comes in much higher. So yeah, push back. Be willing to say that stuff. If people don't listen to you as an individual, okay, go gather up some other men who are on the same page and get it. Come back. Ecclesiastes is a great place to start. Rarer than the rarest rubies. Yeah. The boys, yeah. Round up the boys. Exactly. So, hopefully, that brings us somewhere. That takes us somewhere useful. There's a lot of dishonesty, a lot of misdirection going on right now. There's a lot of, deception. And there's a lot of deception warfare being waged right now. And one of the best ways I think that we as men can display true masculinity is to stand up against that deception whenever and wherever we see it. Share these examples. That's why I give these guys to you. It's not just to complain. It's not just to say, hey, here's what's going on, feel bad about it. No, this is ammo. Every time I show you guys this stuff, it's to give you guys ammo. So that when people speak up about these things and say, hey, the guys are the problem, you guys have stuff you can point to. You guys have examples ready to go in your minds. You have arguments ready to go in your minds. You know exactly how the situation is being manipulated. And you know how to steer away from those deflections. Because ultimately, if what we're seeing is true, that there's more of a femininity crisis, then all this heavy talk about the masculinity crisis is a deflection. So, yeah. Lots of propaganda out there, spiritual and social and political, yeah. Be ready to speak against it. Arm yourselves with truth. Arm yourselves with arguments. Arm yourselves with examples. Arm yourselves with accurate understanding of Scripture. I'm rich, I sleep around, I make vids talking down to the opposite gender. Who am I? Chelsea Handler, yeah. Yeah, it was always a deflection. Yeah, it's not Andrew Tate. Well, maybe. I'm curious to see how his stuff goes. I tend to think of him more as a distraction than much of anything else. But anyways, let's rebuild the Byzantium, boys. Yeah. Get to work. Yeah. All right, guys. That's all for today. Consider becoming a channel member, supporting this if you found it useful. Head over to the second channel, which we're building up, which will have clips and stuff from these live streams that you can share with people. There will be even more special extra clips on Patreon for members over there. Yeah. And go follow me on Twitter as well. X, whatever you want to call it. There's even more content and fun stuff on X. I'm starting to post many things all over the place. Yeah. Hashtag Gunner College Fund. Well, yeah. At this point, it's looking more like trade school's the way to go, but yes. Yeah. So, have a good evening. Go with God. I still refuse to call it X. That's fair. It's valid. So, enjoy the rest of your day. No stream on Saturday. We'll see you next week. Peace.